going on, everybody? Oh my god, you in this background, it just derailed my entire train of thought. Like, go live, immediately change
I don't
to
know
the
why
most
it bothers you.
upsetting thing
It's
that you
the
can think of.
it's not, it's the opposite. It's the opposite. They're still there.
It
They're still
doesn't
there.
like bother me, but like I put it
Like
on
the Star-Spangled
YouTube
Banner.
and like I don't know if YouTube loves it. I don't know. I know they don't like
I
a lot of
can't
other
imagine that they
things.
care.
They care a lot about a lot of things that Twitch doesn't for some reason. But anyway, welcome
I can't imagine that an image of the Twin Towers bothers them.
well, welcome to the Source 4
Exploding
show
ones.
this week. Yay. I'm Edwin from Source 4 Gaming on Twitch and YouTube, and this is my dear friend. Introduce yourself.
Still that guy. That guy that's been here all the time. The co-host that doesn't have a name in the show. It
Your name is literally
Uriah.
underneath your camera.
Maybe. Maybe so.
It's more of the I never know if you want to
What-
go by like your handle or your name.
oh. Figured out if you figured out how you wanted to handle it.
I
then
haven't
we
figured
just
out
do
for
it.
myself, so
Get yourself your intro script, because I'm not gonna be the glue that holds together the Source 4 show.
I'm just kind of going with things, man. This
I'm
is
just the Andy Daly or the
we're getting better each week. I feel like this
who's
is only
the
like the
other
fourth
guys?
one of these.
There's plenty of people. I also don't mean Andy Daly. Who do I mean? The weird pudgy guy. I didn't mean that either, but also kind of.
I don't know who the hell
Andy
you're
Richter,
talking about.
that's his name.
Who the fuck is
The
that?
co-hosts for various late night shows, and you
Oh.
just it's fine.
I never watched a lot of that late night stuff. Like I know who Jay Leno
Oh.
is, and I know who like Guillermo from
that's
Jimmy
so
Kimmel's show
unfortunate.
is. That's about it. I never watched those shows either. I just know who those people are.
Sure, but like Jay Leno is by far the worst talk show host that has ever existed.
Which one was it that had like the weird robot guest or something or co-host? Oh God, what's his name? He was like Scottish or some shit.
Oh, Craig Ferguson.
Yeah. I actually caught that one semi often when I would just be out in public and I was like, this show is great. Why is this one that went away first? It feels like maybe Conan went away
It was
first.
on the air for a very long
It
time.
was. No, it was like the first one that
Conan-
like died of the long running ones though, before the other ones
Conan-
all kind of changed hosts or whatever.
Conan moved. So
Yeah.
Conan, I mean, this can be a whole separate conversation some other time if we want to get into details. But basically, when Letterman walked away from the Tonight Show, it was Conan's.
Yeah.
And then they asked Conan to move the show an hour back and let Leno take his slot, but they'd still call it the Tonight Show, which was a big fuck you.
Yeah, I know a little bit about that drama and all that nonsense that happened with that. I know that
Craig
much.
Ferguson was like the Late Late Show or something. He didn't air
Yeah.
until like 1 a.m.
Yeah, which is a bummer because every time I did catch it, it was a delight. And I was just sitting there at 1 a.m. being like, why is there a robot on the screen? Why is this Scottish man here?
It's fine. It's just not really in the format of the like. It's in the same way that like Eric Andre is fun. But Conan took everything to the absolute limit.
Yeah.
Like original run Conan is truly bizarre and is up there with like the is it the Gorebag? Had the show on MTV3 or MTV2 back in the 90s.
I never
Well, it was
watched
just
MTV.
like, oh, well, it was a giant latex monster that had a TV show that would interview musicians. Famously had people like Jack Black and Flea from the Red Hot Chili Peppers and folks like that on, and then oftentimes the interview would end with him consuming them.
Wasn't Gorebag just Jack Black? Wasn't that who did it? Okay, I think it's something else. I don't know. Anyway, yay, late night shows.
All of that to say, it's an absolute shame that your point of reference for late night television is, let me ask you this. You see this on the TV earlier? I'm this weird neocon and I don't touch the Tonight Show money. I'm all about my cause. Do you remember the news article? This was years ago, but there was a brief moment in the Sun where everybody started dunking on Leno, and it was the only time you shouldn't have dunked on Leno. Are you aware of this?
Was it when he like almost died?
I mean, I don't know that it was that serious, but he
He
absolutely
had
set
like
himself on
severe
fire.
burns all over his body. Yeah, like that. He was in like a fucking iron lung or some shit, like hypobaric
Again,
chamber or some
I,
shit.
I can't wish ill on the guy just because he's irritating and boring and
No,
probably has political views I disagree with. But
probably.
it was very funny that like people hadn't been out here like dunking on him hard, and then out of nowhere they were like, "Oh, you know what? You know, you know when we should make fun of this lousy guest show or late night host
Uh-huh.
when he's on fire, literally, and not on the air anymore. Like when he
Hmm.
hasn't done anything to us in years.
Yeah. Yeah.
This is when we decide he's a problem."
Well, I guess
Anyway,
one of the main things we were going to talk about is like Gamescom's been happening this week. And there's been a lot of big news in the video gaming world. What would you like to start with? Like, what's the thing that you've seen so far that you're the most excited about?
I, I will let you riff for now.
Okay.
I have so much bullshit, but I want to patch in where you want to talk about, and then if there's something I absolutely have to cover, I will. But I feel like a lot of this is going to be, you have thoughts on this, and we're like, no, and vice
I
versa. Like I think the things that excite me are not going to excite you at all, and vice versa.
like the first thing it was I was surprised that we got like a Borderlands 4 announcement. I'm amazed that they're making another mainline Borderlands game. I'm surprised
I'm
that that
not
series is still going. But I guess I don't I even as someone who
even
was like a Borderlands fan, I'm like done with that series. But
sure, but
maybe I'm
how
wrong.
many? Well, how many units do you think Borderlands 3 sold?
Oh, tons. I mean it sold great because the gameplay was good. Like it was good and it
And
had a lot of goodwill from it from Borderlands 2. And like this, the pre-sequel and stuff was okay. Like the spin-off games they did were fine, and the DLC was fine. And then it just was. I think. I mean, it did well. Obviously, people enjoyed playing it with their friends. I just was surprised that they're continuing it going because I didn't
they
think
have
the
nothing.
Tiny Tina one did very well, and it seems like it's just kind of been a thing around. But I guess
I
it did
mean,
fine.
their best-selling game for all things they've ever done at Gearbox is Borderlands 2.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Of course. I mean, it has the benefit of it's
Border
been around forever and it's dirt cheap now. But yes.
Sure. I mean, we could make the same argument and see what Borderlands 3 looks like in 5 years.
Yeah.
But Borderlands 3 still sold 20 million units, and that is
Hmm.
even with the absolute hole that they dug with not being on Steam for the first 2 years.
Yeah, that's a thing for it too. I forgot about that. That was
Which if you didn't see that, 4 is going to launch concurrently on Steam.
I wonder why. I almost
Almost
like
like they
Epic is
may
not
have learned
throwing
that.
money at people to be exclusive anymore.
But like, I mean, Wonderlands was still relatively well received.
Yeah.
I don't think that people dug into it near as much,
Yeah,
but
I didn't play any of it.
like,
I was just not into I don't like Tiny Tina, I think is my biggest problem. So when they're like it's another game where she's narrating the whole thing and I was like I don't want her talking to me constantly for 30 hours. Thank you. I'm out.
well, you'd be lucky in that there's basically no story in it. It's just arenas. But um I would argue that the Bunkers and Badasses DLC is the best piece of anything that Borderlands ever did. It's
Oh,
the
yeah.
only story
Yeah,
that's
that's
worth
fine.
watching, and dealing with the pathos of Tiny Tina dealing with her trauma through
Yeah.
the lens
The
of a
big
tabletop
brother
game,
Roland dying.
instead
Yeah.
of instead of, oh look, another dick joke. Oh look, the psycho said something new and weird for the 7 billionth time in a single
Yeah.
playthrough.
Her like
It's not unique
specific
voice lines.
it's just her specific style of like comedy for that character is very much like I don't even remember when Borderlands 2 came out, but it's very like early 2000s lol so random comedy that I was kind of tired of at the time that
2012,
game came out. Yeah. So I was kind of
maybe
tired of it
13.
already. Yeah. And then we just got more and more of it. It's like, okay, this is not funny to me then and it's not funny to me now, but I people like her that she's like lol random explosions, I guess.
I it's I'm curious, and I don't want to unpack this too much, but she's no worse than literally every other character in the game. She's just a child.
It's her voice particularly, and her voice lines annoy me. That's the biggest thing. Like, I know everyone loved her in the first like game she was in, but I just didn't
Which was two.
care. Yeah, I know. I'm just saying. I didn't need to get that
But
specific, but yeah.
but like she's a slightly funnier Torg. That's it. Like
Yeah.
that's all.
Yeah.
They're the same character. Like, it's not as bad as most of the Psychos. It's not as bad as Moxie by far. Like, holy crap! If you go back and play the first two games,
Whatever
I
happened
guess
to
it's the second and
Doctor? What happened to Doctor Zed? I liked that character. He just kind of doesn't exist anymore. He was like the little medic character in Borderlands 1 and 2.
I mean,
He had like an entire
maybe
like
you need to,
DLC where you fought his zombie brother who made like zombies. And it
I
was
mean,
just him with a mustache drawn on his medical mask.
the short answer is, I think you need to replay some of them DLCs.
Maybe. I haven't, it's been a long time. I just remember the zombie one, and after that, I don't feel like I remember him in much other than him just being the voice of the vending machines, I guess. Like the medical vending machine.
Yeah, I'm trying to remember. I think it's the episode between Borderlands 2 and 3 that was free Borderlands 2 DLC right before 3 launched. That you see
maybe.
his last.
Maybe. I don't remember this. I may have never played this. I might not have even known it came out because it didn't get published very widely, maybe.
I don't remember any of the story to Borderlands 3 because we didn't see any of it.
Yeah,
because you guys skipped every cutscene because we were speed running the game with Doug.
In fairness, me and him had both played through the story like 2 or 3 times already at that point. It was just like, okay. I wasn't the one doing that. I wasn't the one doing that. I was just kind of like, all right, and there he goes. Off to go skip through all this cutscene and dialogue, which, in fairness, you're not missing a bunch. But still, it was pretty rough. Narrative-wise. I don't know. But that's not really what I cared about. Like, Borderlands 2 had, like, the good story, but Borderlands 1 was just fun mechanically at the time. And, like, I still like the mechanics of Borderlands 3. Like,
then you'll love Borderlands 4.
I probably will. I'm genuinely was just surprised that they were making it. I'm gonna play it. That's right up my alley. I like shooters. It's probably the only looter shooter that I would even consider playing right now. Like, the story of Destiny's dog shit, and like the gameplay's okay, but like all the aesthetic just doesn't do anything for me. So I'm interested to see.
There are so many games that do everything that they do in Borderlands better in every direction.
There's an artistic design behind it is something that really gels with my brain. I like it. I like the acid fueled fucking Mad Max thing that they've got going on.
Did you ever play Rage?
Yeah, and it was just kind of like, it felt like Borderlands with less artistic vision behind it. Like, it was what Borderlands was originally, was going to be like a game exactly like Rage, and they looked at it and someone was like, this art style, this needs like another art style or something, because the graphics don't look very good and it's just kind of boring and empty. Every other video game out now is boring and empty. Let's make it colorful and like do something different with it. And they made the fucking cell shading thing that became a thing for them.
Made is generous, but sure.
There hadn't really been anything I'd seen at the time, like outside of like games that were just full cartoon. I mean, it was interesting, but anyway, they had a very drastic art design shift at one point during Borderlands 1's development. I remember that.
That they have declared that it's a next year release. They have absolutely nothing to show for it. They just said it's coming out.
Yeah. I'm sure we're gonna.
It's a video of a planet with the logo and the mask. That's all it is.
I know. I saw it. I know what it was. It was just kind of like.
I won't buy into the brainworm that it's damage control, but like, they're not making a good case for themselves.
I'm not either. I'm literally just in the, yep, this is their like an announcement of something's coming, and are we gonna see anything about it? No, not really. Any details? Not really. All right, cool. This is on my radar for whatever we like actually get this damn thing. But until then, it's just gonna be probably another Borderlands game. All right. Yeah.
Next year. Next year.
Yeah, sometime in 2020. I mean, I'm not surprised though. Like, I'm sure this has been in development for a while, and like COVID probably delayed it a little bit. But I mean, I'm sure
I
it's
feel
the
like we
same
just got a
engine.
Borderlands.
Yeah, like 2 years ago, we got the Tiny Tina standalone game like a couple years ago. But they did that with Borderlands 3 too. They did like the Borderlands the pre-sequel in between 2 and 3, which was like a thing. And it was a fine game. But it was just again the same engine and they got a little bit more
I mean,
experimental with the pre-sequel. That was kind of fun. It was on like the moon of Pandora instead of on Pandora proper.
I mean, that one also did poorly enough that they didn't end up releasing the DLC for it. But
Yeah, I liked it, but yeah.
My point is more that like it was 10 years of development between 2 and 3. It is going to be like, well, 8, right? It's going to be, and the pre-sequel didn't steal anything from development, just like I'm sure this Tiny Tina game did, but it's half the time. Literally half the time. And oh, by the way, 3 wasn't very good. I'm sure there are people that enjoy that game. It added nothing.
3's biggest problem was its
story. Maybe if I could have
story.
sat through it, I would have enjoyed some of it, but I bet not. I bet it didn't age well. I bet they tried to do the same tire tropes and it didn't land. And they're desperate. Like, what has Gearbox made that's worth playing other than Borderlands 2?
I was going to say Borderlands 2.
And maybe, full disclosure, I did enjoy the Duke Nukem game they made. And I enjoyed the Homeworld remake. It's just dumb. It's just dumb.
Oh, they made the bad Aliens Colonial Marine game. That was one thing that happened. They took the money that they got to make that game and used it to develop Borderlands 2 or 3. I can't remember which.
It would have been 2. But I mean, we had this conversation a few weeks ago, but they've officially announced that they're reviving the Brothers in Arms games, but somehow that's not getting released before another Borderlands sequel when they announced it long ago. How about I don't know, anything.
Like they've been making VR games. What the fuck is this? Penn and Teller VR FU and U. What the fuck is this?
It's because Randy Pitchford's
he's a weird magician boy. Yeah, he's a weird magician boy who loves them. Yeah.
And potentially a problem with children.
Potentially. Leaving flash drives at medieval times in Dallas. Shame. Tisk tisk,
in
Randy.
Microsoft. In Minecraft.
In Minecraft, yeah.
In Borderlands.
Possibly PDF file.
But I mean, like
their website says they were involved in Halo Combat Evolved. What the hell?
They were. They did the Mac port, I think.
Oh, okay.
Nope, they did the PC port.
Yeah, because Bungie originally developed it for Mac. Yeah.
I mean, their original job was making the worst DLCs for Half-Life.
Yeah.
Like, and then the PlayStation port of it and the Microsoft port of Tony Hawk's Pro Skater. But I'm not talking about ports. I'm just saying, so they made the Brothers in Arms games, then they stopped making the Brothers in Arms games. And since then, you've got Borderlands, Duke Nukem Forever, Aliens Infestation for the DS, Borderlands 2, and an app tie-in, Aliens Colonial Marines, Borderlands the pre-sequel, which that might be worse. I assume they used that money on Borderlands 2, but if they used it on their pre-sequel, that is incredible. Handsome Collection, which was just repackaging it for the new platforms.
Yep.
Because if you remember, everything up until that point, like the last Borderlands content that anybody gave, well, I say anybody, that we cared about was PS3 era. You've got the Homeworld Remastered Collection, which again, Homeworld 1 and 2 are great games. All they did was make it look good. So I can't fault them. I can't praise them. They did make an absolutely terrible Homeland game that came out this year. Homeworld, sorry. Battleborn.
Oh yeah, which that was
and was
honestly that was their own fault. That was their own hubris and their own terrible marketing. They released that game the same week as Borderlands, or not Borderlands, of Overwatch,
and they
didn't market it well.
Contact, and they didn't support it. Like it was if you remember, it came out in 2016
Uh-huh.
and it was fully like dead. It was free
Oh.
to play by 2017
Mm-hmm.
and dead by
Yeah.
2019.
Yeah, it was very much like I was very much following the development of that game the whole time because I was interested in it, but like up until it released, they didn't do a good job of telling anybody what the hell it was. On paper, it looked like another Overwatch, which was coming out the same week, and they were trying to be
Which
like, "Nah, we're totally different." I'm like, "You probably were."
they
The
were.
problem was, yeah, you were. They just didn't
Oh, you
advertise
never
that to
played.
anybody.
You never played anything but like the co-op missions, right?
I played some online matches and stuff. I liked it.
Just
It was an FPS MOBA game. It was good. Like it was fun. It was
yeah.
interesting. Like it could honestly that game could have done incredibly if they didn't release it the same week as Overwatch 1 and also market it terribly and not tell anybody what the hell it was. It
Anyway,
was like
Duke
they were
Nukem
just like
remake, Penn and Teller VR game, Borderlands 3, Wonderlands, the sequel to Tales from the Borderlands,
yeah,
which I don't know how you
whatever.
fuck that up, but it didn't land very well.
Yeah, whatever.
And then technically, they released Risk of Rain 2. I don't know that I've heard anything good about the sequel to Risk of Rain.
I've heard everyone liked it.
The
That's all
first
I've
one was
heard.
great.
All I've heard is people
First
like
game's
Risk of
great.
Rain 2.
Well, I don't spend as much time with gamers anymore, but the first one was incredible.
Yeah.
And I've heard nothing about the sequel other than it's 3D now.
Yeah, I mean, this is what I kind of understand about it. Is I haven't played much of it. I just know people who I've talked to and seen online. The discourse has been that it was fine, but regardless,
Okay, I take it back. They did not release Homeworld 3. They published Homeworld 3.
there we go.
I mean, they made the remakes of 1 and 2, so it makes sense that I assumed as much. Also,
Mm-hmm.
they did not make Risk of Rain 2. They published Risk of Rain 2, and then they released DLC for Risk of Rain 2. Tribes of Midgard, anybody? Jesus Christ. Like, it makes perfect sense that they are scrambling and trying to get a title that somebody cares about so they can stop bleeding money.
Mm-hmm.
But I don't know that Borderlands is it these days. There are going to be a handful of clingers on that keep playing these games because they liked the first couple. And there's going to be far more people that are going to look at it and be like, wow, this is sad. Like, do you think the kids are playing Borderlands?
I think they would, but I think what their best case scenario could be is because Destiny has a lot of really like disenfranchised fans right now, and it looks like it's just kind of dead and not getting content for a long, long time. I think they're probably going to pull a lot of like, if they do it right, and depending on what's actually in the game, they could pull from Destiny and have like a Borderlands style Destiny, which is, I bet you, what they're trying to do because they really should be the ones too, because they kind of started this whole looter shooter nonsense
I would
anyway.
hate. I mean, if it's live service, it's dead on day one for me. Not a
I
chance I'm touching that garbage game.
I guarantee you it's going to be live service. They are so salty that they basically released a live service back in the day and never got to capitalize on it as a live service. I know they are
Why
so
didn't they
salty
do it
about
for their
that.
last 2 games? I
Don't
just
know. I
like
couldn't. I bet they've been putting all their back into doing it for whatever this one is. I would bet money that Borderlands 4 is going to be like a live service MMO thing.
then I think it'll do even worse than I was assuming. Also, we know some of the biggest Destiny 2. We are so upset with the direction that this has taken.
And they're still
you know
playing
how,
it every week and
but you know
rating
what it
every
takes
week.
to get them back online is, oh, I got to do my raids. Oh, I got to do my dailies. Oh shit, they released a new variant skin for a single
All
gun that I
right.
need to grind 17 more hours
All
for.
right, I know.
It's like Diablo. Like, I know that you were kind of a Diablo fan.
No.
I was a huge Diablo 2 fan. You know what? I'm not touching a Diablo game. Does that
I
change
haven't
the
even
fact
played
that there
for,
are people
yeah.
that are, but there are people that are so broken.
Oh, they log in every
that
season for
play,
Diablo 4.
They play the mobile game on PC. They play multiple Diablo games at once. They do 5 dailies a day. I'm just saying, like, the loot grind is real. There will be players, and so maybe I backpedal some of the Borderlands shit, but like, if I'm the what's the word I'm looking for? If I'm the average consumer and I've never played one of these games, you're not looping me in. And I think changing the formula is going to do more damage than good. And I think keeping the formula isn't going to help you retain play. Like, it's a no-win scenario. They need to make new games. That's what they need to do.
Okay, but what do you want to bet? Wouldn't it be the funniest fucking thing if they had Jack Black come back to this game and be Claptrap again, and he's just Claptrap forever now? And they're just like, this star power of Jack Black will save our Borderlands world.
You think there's a chance? Well, actually, the paycheck. Never mind. But,
my man will do anything for money. Are you kidding me?
Barring insane amounts of money. Like, have you seen any of the press for Borderlands that these people have done?
Yeah, they all hated it, and like, everyone's mad at him.
You thought the press for Madam Web was bad?
Oh boy!
Just sad people looking into the middle distance.
Oh boy!
I still, you know, we don't need to really talk about it, but like, they somehow fumbled an all-star cast into an absolutely garbage movie.
Yeah, they did. They really did.
Oh.
And it's not like the visuals are probably like the only thing that I could say about that movie, not even having seen it, that looked like decent. Everything else I've heard or seen about it was terrible. A lot of people are like, it looked kind of like the video game. We needed more guns from the video game in this movie, I think. Some of the more wacky ones, but that's about all I've heard.
I mean, they could have done that. It wouldn't have helped.
Couldn't have hurt. It wouldn't have made it worse.
They don't play with anything. They don't play with any of the abilities. They don't play with any of the things that make the game the game. 90% of the action sequences, from everything I've seen, are people stand in a hallway
and shoot at each other.
They shoot guns. Then they move 6 feet. Then they shoot guns.
And then dialogue happens?
Not in the same room, or like, here's how bad this was. One, Jack Black recorded everything before the movie was ever shot.
Well, that's what I was going to say. If he did that, he would probably do the game too. That's what I was going to get to, is I knew that part.
But the individual action sequences, like when they're in the vehicles, the 4 people that are in the scene are not in the scene together. Like, not even like body double. Like, a lot of times it's just we zoom in on one face, then we scan to the other face, then we scan to the other face. You can't even see what's happening in a vehicle cabin. Anyway, it's all good. It's all good. It's almost like there never should have been a Borderlands film.
No, there shouldn't have been. If there was going to be one, it should have been like 10 years ago. But regardless.
I mean, the humor was dated when they started it. That's evident with how heavily the Duke Nukem remake flopped.
It was very cringe internet humor at the time.
It's worse Duke Nukem. It's worse Duke Nukem. The benefit was, oh wow, we get to play with our friends. Yeah.
And the guns were... that's the biggest thing to me. It was like the guns were fun and the guns were cool. Like, that system was cool. And like the near infinite loot system...
in the first game, for sure. In the second game, sort of. Beyond that, I cannot agree with you. It became, oh, you picked up one of the 7 billion variants of the same gun. What's different with this one? Oh, it has a stick on the end instead of a blade.
Yeah. It got too into like specific named variants as well. I don't know. Borderlands 2 definitely, though, like, it was always kind of fun. It's like, oh, what's different about this one? What's different about this gun? It's none of them were exactly the same, and it was kind of fun. But
as long as they were purple or not purple or higher. Purple or higher.
Purple or higher. Purple. All of the ones that were higher than purple were like named guns or some shit, or like there was like cyan or something, which were like very specific types of guns.
But they were the only ones that were unique. Like all of the blues, greens, and white,
all the garbage ones,
well, but they were all the same gun, like, so functionally
just the loot trash
collector. It's awful.
It was loot trash.
Supposedly they added new features to Borderlands 3 that made it so that the looting and selling of loot was easier in like the last 2 months. But
the last 2 months,
I mean, let me look at when the update was, because yes, it was very recently.
Oh my god, that's amazing.
Which is not open right now, because why would it be? All right. Well, I will tell you the date as you get into the next one, but surely there's something fucking else you want to talk about than Borderlands.
Oh yeah, we're just shitting on We're just taking our turns shitting on Borderlands. One more thing.
Except you acted somewhat excited, and I'm sitting here going, absolutely not.
I am interested.
Absolutely not.
I have so many hours in Borderlands 1 and 2 and 3 that I'm like vaguely interested just because mechanically I enjoyed playing the games.
Don't give that piece of shit your money. Go play a better game.
Curious as to what it'll be like when it comes out. Maybe they actually do something different with it. Who knows? I'm curious.
You think after they took two big divergences, one where they had a more unique character system and the other where they made a movie and both failed miserably, you think they're not going to play the safest they've ever played?
Don't know. I don't know anything. We don't know anything.
It will be Borderlands 3 reskinned.
We don't know anything right now. That's why I'm like, yeah, the Pandora's like colliding with another planet or some shit. That's all we've got.
I don't even know that we've got that. Oh, but there are patch notes for a new patch for Disco Elysium. Interesting. Isn't it sad that that company's never going to release anything else ever again?
Dead forever.
I love that game, and I hate that I can't promote that game.
Tell people to play it because they just fucking murdered the guy getting any money from it. Yeah, it sucks.
Oh, it was everybody. It's the artist, the visual artist behind it. It was some of the story creators. It is literally the guy that made the game system and the world and the character. Like, it's so bad. Anyway, I was looking at Borderlands. Speaking of bad, hey, can I download Battleborn? Will it let me? Holy shit! Evidently, at the death of the game, it was 43 gigabytes to install.
Oh my god.
That seems very large for a 2016 game.
It was quite oversized.
Borderlands 3. Well, I say that, but Borderlands 3 requires 130 gigs to install. Holy crap. Also, evidently, there was a second season pass. Did you know that they released an entirely second season pass when the first one didn't have any story, as far as I remember? Like, everything was just, here's a single mission. Yeah, so July 18th, they released a patch called Free Heroes of the Borderlands Cosmetics. We talked about this briefly, but it was a bunch of gun charms, a bunch of skins, a new weapon, new skins for your Echo, because if you remember, you could have a custom skin for your Echo module. And then it did not add any gameplay. So the gameplay shit was from September of 23. So there we go. I was wrong. The gameplay patch was a year ago. They just added content in the last month. I don't understand.
I don't know. Other things that they announced, one of the things that I was interested in was we finally got like a release date for Marvel Rivals, and I was kind of on the money with it. Like, I thought that game was going to be coming out like any month now because it seemed like it was pretty fucking done. And they've confirmed it's coming out like December 6th of this year. So it's like on the near horizon. And also they confirmed that like all the heroes are going to be free. That's the big thing for a lot of people since it was a free-to-play game and they haven't really delved into their monetization yet.
You are making an assumption that I would normally agree. No. What they said were that all heroes would be unlocked at launch, at release. Did not state that they would be free. I have a sneaking suspicion that they're going to do similar to like Heroes of the Storm or Dota or whatever, where you're going to have a rotation of playable characters for non-paying customers. But that said, it is news that you are not going to have to grind to unlock any characters. That I do think is a net positive. Because the way that it played when I played it, I played quite a lot of it to get the single exclusive beta skin. And I'll be curious to see how they roll it out because they're gonna have to monetize it somehow.
Oh, it's gonna be. There's so many just cosmetics and like reskins. There's so many hundreds of variants they could do of everybody.
I know what you're saying, but this is Disney, and
Yeah.
it's a mobile game company.
Yeah.
I
Maybe
just
we'll
don't
see.
think there's a chance it's just going to be skins. Like there has to be some other reason to burn than the battle pass.
Skins, if
I
they're
can
done
feel it
well,
in my
make bank. Like people pay hundreds of dollars for like bullshit death boxes in Apex Legends that don't do jack shit other than be like, you have Sephiroth's wing on your death box when you die now. Like people
I
will pay out the ass for just cosmetics.
I understand. My Maybe I'll be delightfully surprised. I enjoyed the game. I already told you and Doug both that regrettably we will probably be playing a lot
I
of this
am
game.
I am very cautiously optimistic, and up until they like really stab me in the back, I'm probably gonna play the fuck out of
I
it
mean,
when it comes out in
with
December.
without any team strategy because I didn't have anybody on my team. I played both regular
Yeah.
matches and comp matches, and it was fine. The heroes, nothing felt truly unique, right? Like there were maybe 2 character abilities that I hadn't seen in another shooter,
Uh-huh.
but I don't know that it needed it, right? For especially for beta, especially for launch, like everything was distinct enough and it felt shuffled enough, right? It was you blended this tank and this striker from Overwatch, and you're not really locked to a class, although there are 3 distinct classes.
Yeah.
Like it's a good enough game. I am very interested to see what they're doing with the Winter Soldier because the kit looked insane.
He got like bionic commando style like tentacle arm or some shit, like from what I saw. Like he's just
way more than
flying
that.
all over the place.
He is both Roadhog hook and Spider-Man pull.
I'm on board with that. I like it. That's interesting. Never really cared for the Winter Soldier character in like the Marvel movies because it's like, what is he? He's Captain America, but his arm is tough and he shoots guns. Okay.
I mean, I
in the Marvel movies, that's my main experience with the Winter Soldier. That's why I've never really cared about him. I'm sure in the comics he's fine or interesting actually. But when they're like, what are you gonna do? We have the Winter Soldier here. He's gonna help us with his weapon. His power is gun against god tier beings. I have an AK-47.
I am not a Marvel apologist in the slightest. I prefer DC comics if I'm gonna read branded comics.
Mm-hmm.
The Winter Soldier was an interesting character. I really liked when they brought him back, which is relatively true to the film, right? It's just
yeah.
They brought back Bucky Barnes, who was a bit character from the whatever 50s Marvel run.
Yeah.
And this was like it was. I think I was in middle school when that comic arc came out. Like I read it as it was coming out. And it was an interesting idea, right? You've got Manchurian Candidate stuff. It's one of the like dark backstory moments of the boy wonder getting murdered, and then he comes back and he's it's now frankly it's something that's already been done.
I was gonna say it very much
DC Batman, right?
I didn't know which one came first, but I was gonna say it reminds me a lot of like the Red Sun, like what if sort of thing.
I mean, or just fucking Red Hood.
Yeah.
Like,
what do you mean? He's totally not Red Hood again.
Dead Robin comes back murderous with a gun against the guy that doesn't use guns.
Doesn't use guns. Yeah.
Famously. Anyway, but yeah, I mean, he's always had a bionic arm. Yeah. That's where in the movies it's big metal arm.
It's this weird vibranium arm or whatever in the movies.
Yeah, well, and I think doesn't. I guess I don't know. Did like I know that it had to do with Wakanda. I don't remember how they brought him back. Did Wakanda bring him back and give him the arm, or was he just a Russian agent, or was he a Nazi agent, or was he a Hydra agent? I have no idea.
Hydra. He was a little like Hydra secret boy or some shit. That's where the arm came from. They like I'm guessing stole it from Wakanda or whatever. I can't fucking remember. I can't be bothered. I didn't like that movie in the first place, so I cared even less about the Winter Soldier. Other than every insufferable person I knew was like, the Winter Soldier is so cool. Oh my god, this is the best Marvel movie ever. And I was like, this movie kind of blows.
I like the actor, and it was probably the best. I don't know. It's better than all the Thor movies. Better than all the other Captain America movies.
I think Captain America
it
1
did
is
something
better.
interesting at least. I mean, sure, like it and Wonder Woman are the same movie, and I think both are very kitschy.
Yeah.
I think they were interesting for what they were, I guess, but I didn't enjoy the period drama. I think that while it could be an interesting idea, it hasn't been executed well yet. And it's even funnier that DC did the same movie.
Isn't it?
Like down to the hero crashing the plane into the water, like as the climax. Anyway, but like the one thing that they didn't keep that I think is for the better, or maybe they did, because I haven't seen any Marvel movie, I think, since Avengers Age of Ultron 2 that I haven't seen with you. So you can count on one hand. Avengers 2 Age of Ultron, not Age of Ultron 2. Anyway, but I believe, if I'm remembering correctly, that he's being directed directly by a KGB agent or KGB officer or some other Russian officer, but also the Russian officer has the consciousness or is possessed by in some way Red Skull, and that's how Red Skull returns to the canon, is that he is possessing a Russian mafia man.
No. He was being controlled and commanded, I think, by an AI Nazi. A Nazi that had like uploaded his mind into a computer, and that was like who led him or some shit.
But that works. That works. I mean, if you're gonna go stupid, you might as well keep it the same stupid. Then you don't upset certain people. You know which ones I mean.
It's either that or I'm remembering this from like a what if, but I'm pretty positive that that's what happens, because I think that same character is brought back in one of the what ifs I watched. And I was like, who the fuck is... Oh, yeah, it's the guy who was controlling the Winter Soldier, I guess. Okay, whatever. We're going to use him to fight Ultron, apparently.
While we're talking about schlock, you got any thoughts on Black Ops? Did you pay attention to the announce on it?
They got a campaign, I guess. That's from fucking... who's making the campaign? Sledgehammer Games or some shit? I don't fucking know.
I thought it was Ravensoft.
I don't remember. There's like 3 companies. They all sound the same to me. I don't know. People are excited about it. They showed like a little bit of the campaign. And it's like, all right. I mean, I was probably gonna play that.
Yeah. If you didn't watch that, then that was the only exciting thing about it to me. I was like, holy shit! They're not just doing the same game again.
I'll give them some credit. Black Ops 1 and 2 had probably the best campaigns. Like their campaigns were fun and interesting, I thought, for a Call of Duty campaign.
I disagree, but only because I got started way earlier on Call of Duty.
I mean, I've played all of them.
Modern Warfare. Yeah, but Modern Warfare was the beginning of the end of the good ones for me. Like they went from, these are horrors of war, look how terrible war is, and that's what first-person shooters were. Like they were like grimdark Sims up until that point. And then like Call of Duty 3 on consoles specifically / Modern Warfare, they were like, what if you're a super soldier? And what if we do this thing where we kill the main character in every game?
Yeah.
It's a fake out.
Yeah, it's fine. If it wasn't going to be on Game Pass for free, I wouldn't give 2 shits about this game. But the fact that it's on Game Pass for free is probably the only reason I'm going to play it. I would never pay money for these. That's the thing about them at this point.
Here's the other thing that I'd like to say about this. It doesn't fit at all. It does not make any sense. However, I really like this studio. So, if you're not familiar with Raven, they made Hexen, they made the Star Wars Jedi Knight series, they made the Soldier of Fortune series, and they made Marvel's Ultimate Alliance and the X-Men Legends games. And then they got bought by Activision, and they haven't made anything good since.
The only ones I've played were Marvel Ultimate Alliance.
So Hexen is a wildly weird... So it was built on Wolfenstein or Doom. Like, it's that old of a shooter. But it was a first-person mage game.
Okay, yeah.
Back in, like, 98, I want to say, is when I was playing those games.
Yeah. I would just bet, though, that there's maybe, like, one original person still at that fucking studio that made those games, though. You know?
Well, that's
like, it's just a name at this point. Like, it's just a shell with a name.
On one hand, game company I like, making maybe first interesting Call of Duty in 15 years. However, yeah, I mean, they're part of the fact that Tencent owns Call of Duty. That's just
Tencent
part of
owns
it.
like fucking everything at this point.
Yes, but like that's technically they have a US headquarter. They also have Chinese headquarter. Who knows who make Call of Duty mostly?
Yeah, who knows?
Uh,
Who know?
anyway, that's all my thoughts on it. Day one launch on Game Pass, it'll probably be the best Call of Duty launch to date.
Oh, absolutely.
But I don't know that I'll be playing it day one launch. That's a lot of gigabytes to install for something that I'm not sold on. If they'll let me install it by itself, maybe.
I'll probably play it just because I'm craving like a dumb multiplayer shooter that I haven't really gotten much of recently, and I'll probably play it for like a week or two, have some fun, and then be done with it and be like, all right, cool, whatever.
Hundreds of gigabytes.
Yeah, and then I just delete it.
Gigabytes.
Whatever. Just delete it.
I like having functional space. You also don't have like hundreds of gigabytes of music storage either, though.
I used to. I still kind of do on somewhere on this hard drive. I just have like terabytes of storage in my computer and a bunch of empty drive bays that still don't have a hard drive in them.
Well, yeah, if I had the storage, maybe I would. I only have like 6 terabytes, which is not enough. Not enough for Call of Duty, wasting my time.
I don't even have that many. I just, anytime there's like an SSD or something that goes on sale for like $50, I'll be like, all right, I'll pick that up. Right. And toss it in.
Any thoughts on the most played game of all time?
Most played game.
Black Myth Wukong.
I have no thoughts on that game. People are being weird about it because it's a Chinese company. That's one thing that's all I know about it, really. And like, it seems fine.
There are tons of players because China is very into this game. It's a Souls-like boss rush.
It is. So it's not quite Souls-like. That's a little bit of a misnomer, but it is. It is the most
person grimdark, super hard boss battler, whatever we want to call that.
It's like the old God of War games. It's like God of War 2, but from my understanding, it's not even that hard. From my understanding, but for what I've seen of it, like it's also Wukong is like the most legendary like fictional character just by like amount of people that know about it. Like it is literally like if you made Jesus Christ the video game, basically.
Yeah, the bit that I heard on one of the other folks that I follow's podcast vaguely covering it, they were like, what if the US not only made a fighter based around Paul Bunyan or Babe the Big Blue Ox, and then also like every human being in the country went rabid for it.
They fucking love Wukong, man.
Basically, yeah, it's basically what's happening, which is cool. Like I've got nothing negative to say about it other than not my type of game.
If I hadn't
my type of game ever
experienced so many variants in my life of Wukong because I've played so many games that are very popular in China, and he ultimately just ends up working his way into the game, I'd be more interested, I think. I'm just like, all right, cool, Monkey Man. I think he's kind of annoying. And every game I've ever played, their version of Wukong that exists is the most annoying thing in the world, which is kind of in his character, but still.
If I gave half of a shit enough to enjoy, like, I'm surprised, frankly, that you're not more engaged with this one because it feels very much your shit.
I will probably play it.
Vaguely Souls-like, vaguely Devil May Cry, or what's the one that you and Doug always talk about that was awful? Metal Gear Rising.
Metal Gear Rising Revengeance is great.
It looks like the exact same shit to me, and for some reason,
it seems a lot less fun. I mean,
it's hype.
It's a game that I will play eventually. It's just I don't want to pay $70 or whatever the fuck for it. You know, it's one of those I looked at and I went, cool. Space Marine 2 comes out in 2 weeks, and I don't have the time to play this game in the meantime, so I'm not even gonna bother. That's more of the reasoning why. Is I looked at it and I looked at the release schedule and saw Space Marine 2 coming up, and I'm like, I could play one or the other. I would rather play Space Marine 2.
Yeah, I look at both of them and go, holy, not my shit. Like,
Oh, Space Marine
so
2 is my
glad that
jam.
I don't
So
have
ready.
any interest in this shit.
I'm so ready.
Both of them also look like a game that should have come out in 2011. Just full disclosure. New Dragon Ball Z looks exactly like all the other Dragon Ball
Dragon
Zs,
Ball
but
Z,
this one
yeah.
is slightly more Tenkaichi than all of the last like 7 of them.
Yeah.
Still don't give a shit.
I kind of just want another Xenoverse game. I liked the Xenoverse games. I thought those were fun. That was like
They made plenty.
They made 2.
Plenty.
Make another one.
What are they going to do? Make new Dragon Ball Z stories? They covered
No,
everything.
just make more cosmetics or make more fun things. I don't know. They could do more with it. I think there's more to it instead of just retelling the same Dragon Ball Z stories over and over again. But anyway.
I just say refine the combat mechanics because I am very tired of light attack, heavy attack, light, light, heavy, heavy, light, light. Give me more control. Actually, you give me a VR DBZ game, I will buy a goddamn Oculus. I will punch this shit.
Bro, print money. Just letting people Kamehameha their fucking TV screens or whatever on VR.
But it looks beautiful. It looks good. I have no other thoughts. King of Meat is another one that actually caught my eye. It is. Have you seen this one?
I hold on. Give me like 2 seconds.
So I at first
yes. It's
thought it was gory Fall Guys, and then
kind of like a Fall Guys thing.
It's not. It's not at all. It is.
You have a level creation. That's the thing about it. It's like Mario Maker meets like Fall Guys,
except it's co-op spectacle fighter. Like, I understand what the aesthetic looks like, but it is a co-op multiplayer game, and it very much, that's where I like sat down and said, oh shit, hack and slash co-op, maybe I have friends play game.
Yeah, I forgot about this one. I played the hell out of this
game.
If this is gonna be on Game Pass, I'm sure. Hell yeah, I'm on board. I'm so ready. Oh man, this is great.
They can make me dress up like a dumb rubber ducky boy while I bleed things to death. I'm on, like, yes.
Yeah, anyway, it's like dungeon crawler, but like, yeah.
It would not have caught my eyes, except for the fact that I was like, that looks like another Fall Guy ripoff. And then I, like, 2 days later, was paying attention to an article, and I was like,
yeah, I forgot about this one.
What I thought it was. It looks great.
Yeah, it's like a Mario Maker dungeon crawler. That shit sounds tight. That sounds great.
I don't want any of the Maker part. Just like how I started playing Skate 3 on Xbox, and I will not play any more of it. Holy shit, is that game awful.
It was great. It was great at the time. It's great now.
Just would you like to drag around pieces of a skate park? Like, no, I want to play a game.
I wish they didn't force you to do that stuff. That was the thing. I was kind of like, all right, yeah, I understand what you're doing here. I also just don't want to engage with this part of this game at all. I just want to skate.
Well, and again, like, the Arcadian session things are the things that I like the most about, like, the Tony Hawk series of skateboarding games, and at least the later titles of Skate, because the first one was very much just a session simulator. There was maybe a story. You did not play much of it. But the second and third, they're like, go to this specific place and take a picture. Go to this specific place and throw your body into ragdoll mode. Go to this specific place and move a ramp.
I haven't played it in like a long ass time, but anyway.
That's the reason you should get an Xbox. You can play old Xbox 360 games with me. We can do throwback streams.
I still have my 360. I still have that game. I could just play it on that.
But not with me. The point is multiplayer. The point is bringing in new people and having fun with your friends. Anyway.
You excited for Dune, the fucking survival co-op game that they're making?
If any of them were ever gonna hook me, it's this one. It looks good. Like, it's very high quality.
Literally, the only thing I don't like about it is that it's Dune. If it was just a sand world and didn't have the Dune license attached to it, I would be more interested in it. It just doesn't feel like it gels with the world very well.
Yes. An entire series that is fundamentally based in the hardiness of a certain group of human beings surviving against all odds in an inhospitable world. How does that translate to a survival game?
It's more just the aesthetics and things are what I'm talking about, and it looks just very, I don't know, the looter shooterness of it doesn't feel right to me. But I don't know. I guess we'll see how it
Oh,
is.
I
I'm a
don't
hater.
think
I'm
you
a
should
Dune
have.
hater, so whatever.
I don't think you should set an MMO in a inhospitable environment, but I also feel that way about every survival game. Like the fact that Conan Exiles is an MMO is very silly to me. The fact that like most of these are, because like I mean it's fundamental to the experience of an MMO, and I'm sure we can get into this a little bit with your WoW stuff, maybe if you even care. I can't imagine that you do at this point, but like you are the special boy, but also everybody's the special boy, and everybody's the special boy in the same environment. And also sometimes you get to fight each other.
Mm-hmm.
And it's every game. And sometimes it works. It works, and it's like crack to the people that enjoy it. And sometimes you look at it and you go, could be fine. Again, if it turns out to be like every other Dune game and end up on Game Pass, give it a shake. I can't be worse than Pal World.
Yeah.
Or
it's on Game Pass, so
what
it's
was
worth check out, I guess. Yeah.
Like it, and it has a lot of money behind it.
Yeah, obviously. They're just it seems very odd to me. It seems like they're doing the thing that they did with Warhammer for a while, where like anybody who has $10 is like, we'll make a Dune license thing. The movie did well. We're gonna make an RTS. We'll make this style of game. This game. Dune.
Except one.
It's Dune.
Good things. Like
they've made one good thing.
The games have been successful. The films are good. The board game is phenomenal. Like Dune was a legendary board game. Dune created fucking RTSs. Like I don't know what you're talking about. It's been a thing forever that nerds have liked Dune, and now
I know I don't get it. I just don't get it. I am a hater. No, I'm just a hater. It's boring to me. It's boring to me. I watch it. I just go, I'm bored.
You're like nerd light, which I don't mean as a pejorative or as like a hipster type shit. I just think that you like to consume more accessible media in ways that I can't.
I just
and vice
particularly
versa.
don't
like
find
really
Dune engaging.
Shit.
Yeah, it's dense to the point that I'm like, I don't care. Also, I think a lot of the premise is stupid, so that's part of it.
Functionally, you don't like hard sci-fi. You
Not
really like sci fantasy, but you don't like sci-fi.
I like fantasy. I don't really care about sci-fi that much.
And it's fine. I just like. It's very interesting to me that you're such a big hater on this, and it feels like it's just to be a hater.
No, I genuinely, I've tried
on something because, like, again, right now, pretty universally, people were like, "Dune 2, good movie." You're like, "I'm not gonna watch it." Not even giving it a chance. Couldn't
fucking watch the first one. I fell asleep during it. I tried again and I fell asleep again. And every time anyone's ever explained, movie do you
not fall asleep during?
Everyone who's ever tried to explain the lore of Dune to me, I sit there and I go, I'm bored. This is boring. I'm sorry. I just don't care. I don't give a shit about his story or the themes. They're not interesting to me.
But you'll read an entire ass series about Master Chief and Cortana's cheeks.
Hell yeah.
One Piece, for Christ's sake.
Hell yeah, I will.
5,000 novels about a boy pirate that's made out of rubber.
Hell yeah.
That is his thing, right?
He'll liberate. We could go really deep into this. There's questions on whether or not he may or may not actually be rubber, or if he's only rubber because he was told that he turns to rubber.
Oh yeah, because he's a god or something, because it's a shonen.
Yeah.
It's like it's fine. I'm not really one to talk, because Yakuza was like, what if we made the gameplay mechanics fun? And I'm like, yeah, I'll put up with your bullshit. Let's go.
Yeah.
I'm solving everything with the power of friendship, and I'm punching cranes and wrecking balls to death. We're having a good time.
Yeah, I got shot, and now I think the world is Dragon Quest 3, and it actually works that way now.
No, he already thought it was Dragon Quest before he got shot.
Yeah, he's just like, he's a lunatic.
That's a point of story.
Yeah, everyone just thinks he's a lunatic.
Quirky. It cracks me up to no end that there are multiple sequences where you are fighting construction equipment in this game. And you punch it.
Hell yeah.
Also, just as a side note, because I don't know that you got this far into the game, and it's not really a spoiler, but if you play the business management sim, you unlock a woman for your party who is the clerk subclass,
Uh-huh.
and she fights using rulers and scissors and clerk stamps. It's very dumb.
No, I very much enjoyed what I played of that game. I don't know why I stopped. I think something else came out, or there was some life event or something that happened, and I just kind of like stopped.
I have played multiple Yakuza games.
Yeah.
Not all the way through. And this one, I'm like, I might 100% it. And it's a JRPG. Do you know how hard it is to
it's great. No, I know.
100% a JRPG?
I think one of my things that annoyed me about it was just like an inconsistency thing of like, there's a lot of fully voice acted scenes, and then there's just other ones where I'll be like, we had a fully like dialogued out tree, and then the next scene is slideshow with text, and you just read it. It just seemed weird. It was just inconsistent. Like, it was fine, but it's like
I'm very hopeful that the sequels rectify.
Yeah, I'm sure Infinite Wealth. I'm curious. I haven't played Infinite Wealth, so I don't know if that one like rectifies that or not. I know it's a lot like Pokemon for some reason. That's the thing that I've learned is it's like they went and did the thing where it's like, what if it was Dragon Quest 3, but it's like, what if it was Pokemon instead with Animal Crossing in one of the areas?
That wouldn't surprise me. Like, there's literally a fully fledged Mario Kart video game inside of this video game.
No, I know. It's great.
And baseball sim and golfing game. Yeah, there's a golfing game. There's also multiple different types of like board games.
Oh yeah. There's like a bunch of mini games. Isn't there like some kind of there's another Yakuza game that got like announced recently or something that like sounds like it's gonna be a Yakuza equivalent of Mario Party or some shit. Which if it was just a collection of the mini games from all the games, it would be incredible. And that's I think what it might end up being. Okay, Talia.
I know that they released the Like a Dragon Gaiden game, which was another Kiryu game, but done in the style of Like a Dragon. And then they made this one, the most recent one, which is like a fusion of the two.
Yeah.
I have no idea beyond that, other than we haven't mentioned the best mini game that took me like 4 hours to get to.
Was it the karaoke? Is that your favorite one?
Every single one of them.
It's the karaoke.
Karaoke. Well, because this one's party based, and that's really probably the biggest hook is that this game actually has characters that are your friends that you're interacting with.
Outside of like Kiryu the other ones where it was just Kiryu and Majima were like the only two characters.
There's a lot more than that, but they're not constantly in your party. Like, it doesn't feel like you're developing the bond that's the way that you are with the party. Anyway, we don't have to dwell on this too long because it's very short and sweet, but the karaoke sequences are very funny because when you push the buttons,
they're legendary.
But it's not the performance that is changing. It is the people at the bar reacting to you. So each button is a different party member shouting something or clapping or whatever. It's very goofy. I very much enjoy it. Where it's like X to the beat, where it's like, dun, 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 and instead it's yosh, yosh, yosh,
yosh.
It's very good. I love it. Best mini game. Honestly, I just need rhythm games in my life. I'm trying to get you to play Parappa the Rappa.
Yeah, there's Fortnite like Festival or whatever the fuck. That's what Harmonix is making now.
I'm not gonna spend $500 to get an Xbox 360 guitar so that I can play fucking Fortnite Festival. The resale market on these things is incredible, and the only third party making them right now is like backordered all to hell.
I might have one.
I'm not saying they actually sell for that much. I'm just saying like every listing on eBay and Facebook Marketplace is like $300 or $400 or $500.
Yeah, fuck that shit. Fuck that shit. I would make my own or something at that point. Anyway.
The answer is there was Like a Dragon, Like a Dragon Aishin, Like a Dragon, The Man Who Erased His Name, and Like a Dragon Infinite Well. And none of them look like Mario Party to me.
Oh, and it's the thing of also like in Japan, they've always been Like a Dragon, and they've been in America like Yakuza or whatever, the subtitle or whatever too.
Yeah, it's just it's very interesting because Ishin, I don't actually know how
Yeah,
that's
Ishin, I
pronounced,
think.
is a remake
Mm-hmm.
of um I think the original Like a Dragon.
Mm.
Even though Yakuza remake had already just been made.
Yeah.
But this one is done in the style of the turn base, I'm pretty sure. Like, I don't think there's been a hack and
I
slash
think
Yakuza since Like a Dragon was released.
no, so they're specifically doing the Like a Dragon ones from now on are all going to be turn-based, and like any other ones with like the different title are the brawlers or whatever now.
Right. What I'm saying is, starting in 2020, they haven't
Mhm.
released a title that is not a Like a Dragon game.
Yeah, yeah. They had
In the
like the
US.
one that was like it wasn't turn-based; it was still like a hack and slash where you're like a sheriff or whatever in feudal Japan with like a katana and a pistol. But
Anyway,
anyway, we got derailed
katana
into
and a
that.
pistol sounds awful to me.
Yeah, it's like a black
Yeah,
powder pistol or whatever.
we'll blitz through some here. I don't think that we need to talk about Linked again or ever, but it might be a game we try for free.
What's linked? What the fuck is that?
It is the logo doesn't look like it says that. It's spelled Lynked, I believe. It looks very generic, but it is a ARPG co-op roguelike that also has base building elements and looks like Monster Hunter but fun.
Huh.
And you're murdering robots.
I don't know this one. I'm not seeing it anywhere. I don't know.
Lost Records, which is the latest from the people that made all the Life is Strange games. It just looks
Yeah,
like another Life
it's
is
another
Strange
Life is
game, but they
Strange game.
changed
Yeah,
the name.
I think one of my friends is actually like in that game. I think they're voice acting one of the characters. Yeah, I think she posted about it on TikTok. Anyway, tangentially related.
It's not something that I could possibly.
I couldn't give less of a fuck.
to.
I am not. I was gonna say I'm way too cis to be into the Life is Strange games. It's just not
It's
for
not
me.
even that for me. I like point and click games. I do not
I do
like
too.
cinematic walking. Well, it's not even a walking sim. That's the thing, is like it's not even that. It's walk to the edge of the screen and another cutscene plays.
On paper, those games are something that I would enjoy. I just think it's never been like a story that's really connected with me, so I've not really ever cared about them.
You liked Uncle Dong.
I loved Until Dawn. Until Dawn was great. Until Dawn was great. I loved all the Telltale games.
But I need you to get on board real quick.
What's his name's games?
Adjust, because Uncle Dong is best name for game.
It could be a good name. Could be.
Uncle Dong, full of Wendigo. Yeah, you mean David Cage, and
yeah, I like the David Cage games. I like them. They're fun.
Normally I like an auteur, but when the auteur sucks, I
liked them for reasons. I could go into a whole thing on them. I liked them because the main characters could just straight up fucking die. That was a thing that I liked, and then the game just kept going on without them. Like that was just a thing. It was like, okay, cool, whatever. That detective died.
You might have only played you played Detroit Become Human for sure.
Actually, that's one of the only ones I haven't played. I own it. I've just never played it.
Because Heavy Rain, you absolutely can't die, and that's what makes it funny. Is
I absolutely got murdered.
You fuck up every single button press, and you just
maybe main character can. There's certain scenes like I straight up my first playthrough of that game. The detective in the FBI 100% gets cut in half with a katana and died. So it was just no longer investigating the murder. Like, you just no longer had any access to it. And he wasn't supposed to. I looked into it. It's like, oh, you failed this one button press? Yeah, you just fucking die. He's dead the rest of the game. And I was like, that's kind of ballsy. I'll give you credit for that.
It's okay. In just the last year, David Cage in the media said that all of the female characters' games in his games are whores, and that Quantic Dream doesn't make games for F-slurs. Good old David Cage.
I think there's some people that should just be like taken away from the internet and their phone. It's like,
He's
brother,
also,
just like,
I mean,
just
he's
go
also
away.
like an edgelord atheist. Like
Oh, duh.
he's just an
Are you
insufferable
kidding me? Yeah,
Frenchman.
of course. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Him being French makes sense. I forget about that
Is
part.
it? Does it though?
It does.
Because I don't know. I just, when you could have that, or you could have Swery. I take Swery or Kojima. I'll take Kojima. I don't want this guy. I don't need him to ever make another game. And his games aren't like, the plots are not engaging. I don't understand why these games keep being made. And then
It's because they're
against all
cheap.
odds, they're like, well, but they're like, you know what would be best is after we've made a bunch of games that didn't even really turn out. Well, what's the next thing we're gonna? Oh, let's give him a big, high-profile Star Wars game. Let's give him a Star Wars game. That makes sense. The odds
That would be
that is
Looney
going to
Tunes. I'm so hype.
no see, it's the opposite because he doesn't do Looney Tunes. He does just bad writing. What it's gonna be is you're gonna be like a seated member of the council and sit on the council and then go to Republic Senate meetings. Like that's gonna be the game. Is gonna be standing in a room listening to somebody drone on about the price of spice in Dantooine for like 40 minutes at a time. It's gonna be awful. But it'll still be the best Star Wars game for the last decade, so whatever.
We got what other stuff that caught your eye? I know Civ 7 got announced. Is that a thing you give a fuck about? I know you like the Civ games, or you used to.
I loved Civ 5, still haven't been able to get into Civ 6. Civ 7 had the lamest announce I've ever seen. This is not discounting, it is, but their big announcement was not, let's go really in deep on the gameplay. And granted, like they probably did a hands-on that I just haven't been able to look and spend an hour watching.
I'm sure there's gonna be a bunch of stuff coming out from journalists who were there playing it or some shit next week.
It's a new narrator. It's the first new narrator since I think Civ 4.
Is the narrator like anyone of note?
You know and love them.
The fucking Peter Dinklage or some shit. Like, who the fuck is the narrator?
You're actually not far off. It is a Game of Thrones actor.
Sean Bean?
No.
Hodor.
No.
Matt Smith? I'm just guessing.
Matt Smith was in Game of Thrones?
Yeah, House of the Dragon. He's like one of the main characters.
Spin-off show. No, I'm talking about real show.
It is the same theme song.
But no, it's funny because the old Civ announcer was Sean Bean. And the new Civ announcer is, which they do one for each. So Civ, I think it was just Beyond Earth and 5 both did Sean Bean. But so Civ 4 was Leonard Nimoy. And that's like the first voiced one that I remember. Maybe Civ 3 had a voiced one. No, it's Gwendolyn Christie. And they made this like a big deal. They were like, we've got a new narrator. And I'm like, okay. Like, cool that you're branching out and you've got a woman instead of a man. But like, I don't even know that functionally I'll be able to tell the difference.
They couldn't have gotten a more interesting female narrator, maybe? And just peace and love.
Well, it was gonna be British. It's always British, and it was.
Of course.
And it was gonna be very posh British, which she hits all those notes. So good for her. I can't criticize it. I just think it's a very silly way to push your marketing to be like, we got a narrator. And again, like if it was, I'd be reacting the same way if it was like David Tennant or whoever. Like who the hell are you gonna hire for this role? But I just I just don't care.
Yeah, whatever.
Well, it wouldn't be because he's too weird and nasally and rat faced. It would
be like Benedict Cumberbatch or some shit.
Yes, that is a better example of the same, or Martin Freeman, like same thing where it's just
posh
I
and
have
British.
the blandest, most boring British accent, but I'm talking about America.
Okay.
You are George Washington.
Okay. They have something, the next Civ game. I know who needs to narrate it.
Only if they do all the mocap and you're thinking of the same person that I am.
I need Werner Herzog to narrate the next fucking. I know he'll be long. No, we'll have AI do it. He'll be fucking the first AI voice actor in the Civ game.
See, I thought you were gonna say Andy Serkis, and I was actually gonna agree with you.
That would also be
Because I want
amazing.
him to do the voice of every character in the game rather than doing a narrator. Just like, what does your Gandhi look like, Andy Serkis? Because I know that you have one and you will do it.
See, I just imagine like Werner Herzog narrating the entire thing like the saddest documentary ever.
Maybe.
I love Werner Herzog's voice. It's just very funny to me. Like, it very much tickles me every time I hear him talk about things.
If we really want to get into this, like, at some point, we should absolutely sit down and just do everything that Werner Herzog ever touched. Specifically the things that he directed and or heavily featured for his voice, not just things
I keep meaning to watch his like Nosferatu movie or something. Didn't he do Nosferatu?
He did Nosferatu the Vampire, and that is the one with
Willem Dafoe?
No, that's Shadow of the Vampire. Yes, Shadow of the Vampire. No, it's Klaus Kinski. It's a name that you could know.
I could, maybe, possibly.
It is not a game that you actually. Well, he famously was like not just a character actor, but like he was one of them faces. Like he's the Hunchback in whichever of the Dollars trilogy has the Hunchback. I don't remember if that's Fistful of Dollars or A Few Dollars More. But the weird looking European guy, that's him.
Could not for the life of me, I remember.
He played in a lot of medieval things and looked real crazy, but he's like a really tall Swede, maybe? Oh no, he's German. He's very German. Yeah, you'll probably recognize his face and you'll be like, oh yeah, he was in the background of something that I saw one time. Maybe not. You don't watch a lot of B movies or old cinema, I think, for the most part.
I used to a lot more before Netflix and shit came around. I used to go digging for that shit. I would just watch whatever the fuck was on like the Encore TV channels for a long time. But anyway.
But no, like specifically we need to watch Grizzly Man, which is a documentary by Werner Herzog about a grizzly bear enthusiast and conservationist that got murdered by a bear.
Mm-hmm.
Like, now you see, Timothy was very, very passionate about the bear. But in the end, the bear's passion is what ended his life. What truly matters? Nothing. Nothing matters. So enjoy your bears.
Everything is beige because beige is the only color of my soul. Everything is beige.
So No Room in Hell got a sequel. Which that was the Nazi zombie.
It's a zombie game. Yeah, it's a zombie game.
Yeah, but it's also demons.
All right, yeah. Yeah, sure, whatever. I'm on board, whatever.
But specifically what caught my eye is that it is 8-player co-op.
Fascinating.
Not that I'm ever going to have 8 friends.
No, I can barely get 3 together. Are you kidding me?
But I'm just saying, like, Nazi zombies with 8 players. That's a new spin on Nazi zombies.
Yeah.
And that's basically all the game was, if I remember correctly, right?
I had never even heard of the first one, and then like there's a sequel, so I was like, okay.
I mean, it came out like, no kidding, a decade ago. It was very much a Left 4 Dead competitor.
Okay.
And originally was a Half-Life 2 mod instead of a Half-Life mod.
Yes, I've played that mod back in the day. I played that.
It's good.
Yeah.
It just was one of the 17 zombie mods for Call of Duty, and then like a decade later, we're getting a sequel for some reason.
Yeah.
So, I'll be intrigued. I mean, it's been announced for the better part of a decade, and it's been 15 years since the original release, something like that. 13, sorry. So, yeah, it's on the radar. Could not give a shit less about Arc Raiders, but if you're looking for a new FPS, that might be on your radar. If you haven't seen the trailer for Infinity, Nikki, I don't even want to talk about it right here. It's absolutely up your fucking alley. It's this weird,
it's so Japanese looking
game.
Hold the fuck
cozy.
on.
It's so cozy. It is absolutely a game for you. I don't want to talk about it. I just want to mention it so that you can.
I'm looking at
So
the
that you can
trailer
know that
right now. The frogs. Oh my god. How did I miss
again,
this?
again, it's for you. Um,
It's so Japanese.
did you see any of the stuff about Predecessor? Because I will take a side note to give the limited amount of praise that I will to Epic Games. So Predecessor is one of the first games that's going to be released using the assets for Paragon, which,
Mhm.
if you recall, Paragon was a game. When Paragon flopped and they realized that they weren't going to support Paragon, they released all of the game's assets for
Yeah.
free and 100% refunded every purchase, whether it was microtransaction or game related, to every player that had played the game. So giving them props where it's due, maybe support your game, but also you did right by the players. Predecessor looks fine. It looks absolutely exactly like Marvel Rivals, but without Marvel characters to me. So
Mhm.
considering they're going to be like, this one's already playable,
Mhm.
if it can gain a customer base in the 3 months leading up to the release of the other, you might have two games doing the same thing. The difference is that Predecessor is, this is going back to our Battleborn and Overwatch conversation, instead of first person, both of these games are third person. And where Rivals is an Overwatch clone, Predecessor is a MOBA. It's a 3-lane tower defense / combat third person action game. I mean, it certainly has potential. It doesn't necessarily have potential for me because I feel like the second somebody gets murdered jungling and is feeding the enemy, it will become the most toxic environment of all time. But if you're jonesing for something, it's very free and it's very up your alley. Path of Exile 2, any cares? Any thoughts?
No.
Anything? Probably not.
I haven't
It's
even
up my
played the other
alley
one. Yeah.
because I love the old school games. I love Titan Quest. I've tried to probably get you to play Titan Quest before. Love Diablo 2, but Path of Exile is just live service-y MMO enough that, like, can't do it, man.
Yeah.
I like to play other games. Oh, so the one thought that I did have about Dune, beyond it looks like it could be good, very Warframe, and I'll leave it at that.
Yeah.
I think it'll be a hit. I think that if it hits Game Pass, it will guaranteed be a hit. If
Oh yeah, it'll
it
do
is
gangbusters if it's Game Pass.
affordably priced, if it's like a $40 entry point, I think it'll be a good game. 60, 70,
Well,
it's
much.
kind
It's
of
hard.
right
That's a
there in the
hard
middle.
sell. That's a hard sell for a
Well,
survival game.
But if it launches in tandem with another HBO launch, who knows?
I forgot they're making that show.
Reanimal and Little Nightmare 3 couldn't give a shit less, but one is by the team that made Little Nightmares, and it looks good. The other one is by the team that owns Little Nightmares, and it looks bad.
Yeah, Reanimal.
Not bad. That's too harsh. It looks like exactly the same shit that the other two Little Nightmares games were, which is not my shit.
Yeah, it looks uninspired. I never played any of the second one. I watched someone do a playthrough of the first one. That was all I knew about it.
Whole bunch of news related to Genshin. Whole bunch of news related to everything else those people make.
Yeah, Hoyoverse or whatever. Yeah,
Hoyoverse. New Monster Hunter, which is identical to the other Monster Hunters, but now there's a desert.
It's gonna be like more truly open world, is what it seems like, and I'm on board for it instead of like the weird kind of sort of open world, but not really, that we got in
You
World.
mean what made it unique, which was all of the Japanese jank?
I'm okay with it having like more polish and like fixing some stuff up. Everything I've seen so far is just like making things I liked about World better and getting rid of things that made it kind of janky and dated and like modernizing it. So we'll see. It'll be fun.
Did you see the trailer for Mecha Break?
Yes.
Okay, because it's up your alley and I don't want to talk about it either.
Yeah, I see people like, I think it's like a pre-release game or something. I've seen people like playing something last week for it. Yeah, it seems fine.
New Monument Valley game. Don't know if you care. Puzzle game. It's great. You should keep it on your phone at all times. It's awesome. The new one is going to be a Netflix exclusive though, so maybe you can never play it.
Yeah. I'm Netflix.
Again, we talked all about but having to have a Netflix account to install a game is
I
very
know.
silly to me.
I know. I know.
Um,
We're getting Starfield DLC. Ooh.
yeah,
It has
which
a
was announced at
rover.
launch, and it took them this long. And then yes, I will say, did you play Starfield?
No.
Okay, because I played through the whole game.
I know you did. After you told me about it, I was like, any passing
Here's-
interest I had in this game is gone.
Here's the thing. Here's the thing, though. The planetary exploration that was somewhat necessary, not for the critical path, but to do some of the exterior stuff and like get to certain systems and upgrade your ship,
Mhm.
was miserable. And now you can drive everywhere you need to go.
Yeah.
Like, genuinely, the quality of life that that's going to add is astronomical, and it's still a shit game.
It's more amazing to me that it had to be a DLC. It wasn't just like oh shit, this game sucks to traverse. Here. we made a rover. It took us like 2 weeks.
The only people playing this outside of people that for some reason bought
Like,
it
just
for,
hate
no, it's
themselves.
not on PlayStation. Never mind. Yeah, so it's all Game Pass. It's all free. Doesn't matter.
Yeah. It's all good.
We talked about Rivals. We talked about specifically everything that I had about Rivals. The only other thing that I'll note, because I've been watching some of the play of the new heroes, Captain America specifically has a reflect ability.
Oh yeah, he has the Genji reflect.
And it's not a Genji reflect because it's not an instantaneous and only in the direction you're pointing. It is specifically where you point your shield will direct.
Huh.
So you can get hit by beam energy and reflect it at a different enemy.
Oh.
So you can kill their squishies using their powerful attacks.
I kind of love that. That kind of makes my brain go, ooh.
Interesting kit. Probably miserable to play. Like, let's be honest. Playing as Captain America is you running around a lot and hoping you can get close enough to hit them.
Here's my thing. I think, honestly, if I was playing that game, I would look at Captain America every time and just be like, well, just don't shoot Captain America. Like, all right, that's how we win. We just don't hit him and leave him alone, and we'll just kill everybody else. Like, that seems to be the answer in my mind.
But I'm sure he's vulnerable when he does, like, shield throws or shield bashes or whatever.
Oh, yeah.
And I'm sure there's also... But, like, a lot of the game is focused around objective play, just like Overwatch.
Yeah.
But in a unique enough way to where, like, it's way more critical to stay with the objective.
Yeah.
Before you could, like, leave one person parked on it and push ahead,
and everyone else runs off.
I would not ever have one person sitting on the payload.
Yeah,
the push and pull felt a lot better in the game.
Yeah.
Okay. Big aside before I get back into some of my shit that you don't care about, but do we care about Secret Level? Because Secret Level looks fucking awesome.
Oh, I'm so hyped. I'm so fucking hyped. I'm ready. Like, fucking... On paper, amazing. Love, Death, and Robots people making a bunch of video game themed short episodes. Fucking sick. Let's go.
More than that, Deadpool guy. Like, it's Tim Miller.
Yeah.
Like, he is maybe the one director that I trust to do nerd shit other than James Gunn. And
it's gonna be good.
He kept tearing up during his presentation, but like, it's an anthology series. Theoretically, the creators will be different. Like, that's the two things that will be integral for me is, do they put enough value in the acting and do they put enough value in the art? It's Amazon, so maybe it's huge budget. It also could be bare bones budget. The detraction for me is it's Amazon. I might not watch it or I might pirate it. But
yeah.
Here's just a few of the titles. I don't know if you looked.
Oh, I'm looking at it right in front of me right now. I have like all of them.
D&D, Warhammer, Armored Core, the Overwatch 2. Conquered. There was another shooter that I don't remember.
They have the Outer Worlds.
Is Outer Worlds 2, which I presume is a tie into the game that's coming out.
Yep.
Which you'll notice, and we'll get to that in a second too, but for 3 fucking games coming from Obsidian in very short order, it was very quiet.
Yeah.
I am still so excited for Avowed.
I'm ready.
I am shocked that they didn't have a hands-on as one of the like centerpieces, but technically Xbox probably has a games show still, don't they? Right? Isn't theirs a fall show?
I think what's happening is Xbox might be keeping a lot of their gangbusters in their back pocket until after GTA 6
Oh,
comes out.
see, what I think is happening is they're staggering releases. I think
Oh,
they are
also,
very
yes. It's
specifically
both.
delaying releases of finished products.
It's
Because
absolutely
there's
both.
no way. Like, I could see Avowed not being quite ready. There's no way it's not
I have a strong
80% of the way
feeling they're
there.
very gun
It's
shy after like
it's
all of
it's
their
the
original.
only. Yeah, but they're good. They're the only
I know.
studio I
I'm just
trust
saying
for
I can
Xbox.
understand them being gun shy after like all of their like originals for the last year just kind of falling
Yeah,
flat on
I
their
just
fucking
but
face.
but Obsidian doesn't make bad games. Literally
I know.
never have.
I know. And on paper, they would have said the same thing about Bethesda and Arcane until they did. And
Mm,
it was just, no.
mm,
I know
mm.
you and me think differently, but critically, most people say most of those games they've made have been wonderful. You would be more critical
Arcane is
than
the
like
closest.
most of them.
I would give Arcane is the closest. I don't love Dishonored the same way you do,
I love Dishonored 1 and 2.
which is
Incredible
funny
games.
because yeah, I think that's your number one from them. But I
Oh,
loved
yeah.
Deathloop. I loved Prey. I loved Dark Messiah of Might and Magic,
Yeah.
which is probably part of the reason that I didn't love Dishonored as much, is because they should have made a sequel. Um, but yeah, I mean, like I can't think of a game that Obsidian or Black Isle before them made that wasn't phenomenal.
Yeah.
Just didn't happen. Didn't happen. Bethesda.
What was their space one? Was that Outer Worlds or Outer Wilds? There's like 3 games that have very similar names that I get mixed up in my mind all the time.
It's Outer Worlds is the play
Okay.
on corporate
Okay.
capitalism. But
And yeah, it
it
was
was a
fine.
blast.
It was fine.
It was brief,
Yeah, that
but
was
I don't
my
think that's
biggest
a
thing.
bad thing.
No.
An RPG that's only 50 hours or 60 hours or
Yeah.
however. Actually,
Yeah.
I probably have like 100 hours in that game.
That was
And that's
honestly like I think the biggest complaint most people had was it was just kind of little truncated, but it was still good. Like
I have the one. I have the one Obsidian game, and it still did a lot of interesting things. But Alpha Protocol.
yeah, I
That's it.
remember that.
That was their
Yeah.
spy game.
Yeah,
But
that thing.
but Obsidian's curse has
Yeah.
historically been that they have the means and the good idea for a great game, and then the
And then people
studio's like,
stack the deck against them.
no, the studio's just like, what if we don't give you any money and push up your release 5 months?
Yeah, that's what I'm
What
saying.
if
Like
we
they
don't
just
let you
like
ship the finished game? And they're like,
yep.
but we have all of the assets. We just have to put them together. And they're like, no. So in this modern era of patch it later, they're not going to lose. They're going to release
Yeah.
a great game that will only get better with time as they
Yep.
put in the content that they want to be in the game. Just give them a fucking chance.
Yep. I'm surprised Sifu is one of the games that they're getting in this secret levels thing.
Not.
I mean I'm not. I am mostly in that. Like, I feel like I know about that game. I feel like a lot of
strong art direction,
indie game people do, but it's just kind of
hugely
okay.
successful game.
Yeah, I mean, it was. It just seems very like, oh, okay. And Spelunky was another one that I was like, okay.
Also hugely successful, but
yeah, it just
not as
seems
popular
very
in terms of like I don't know
unknown.
what that is.
Yeah.
Is it a weird little like? Because is there a story to
It's
Spelunky?
no.
I mean, there's a sequel,
It's like a weird little
so
like
maybe.
Dig Dug esque like puzzle game or something. That's what I remember about it. It's like a little like
first one
2D
for sure.
side scroller puzzle game.
But there's a whole bunch of DLC and there's a full sequel. Like I don't know. I have no idea. I don't know enough about the game to speak on it. I know people really like it.
And we're doing
But
Unreal
Sifu is
Tournament too.
Yeah.
Interesting. I like the Unreal Tournament games. I miss Unreal Tournament actually.
Then you should have played the last one.
I played Unreal Tournament 3. What was the last one?
There have been at least 2 games since then.
Is there really? What the fuck?
Yes. 3 was
on the Xbox 360
and Xbox 3. Yeah, there's been at least. Let's see. So I'm looking at Unreal Tournament, not Unreal Tournament franchise. How do I get to series of game? How do I find more games based on Unreal Tournament Unreal? is the video game series. That's why. It's because I still am a little butthurt that they stopped making Unreal games in favor of the Unreal tournaments. Oh, nope, just the one. I'm thinking of Quake is the other game that was made by these people, but Unreal Tournament 4, which came out in 2014, and I guarantee you didn't play.
Maybe I did. I don't know.
Canceled game after that. But you want to know why? You want to know why this shit don't get done?
Because
You know why?
people,
Because Tim Sweeney's in charge of it.
Because Fortnite makes money.
Tim Sweeney. It's only Tim Sweeney. Tim Sweeney. But it was technically just called Unreal Tournament.
Yeah.
But yeah, here you go. It came out in 14, ceased in 17, servers shut down in 2023, evidently.
Oof.
But I would bet nobody was playing it in the last year. But what was the other one that they released? So Quake Legends? Quake Heroes, something like that?
Yeah, Quake Legends was one that came out on Steam a while ago.
That was what I was confused with. But like they did announce a sequel to the Unreal Tournament reboot that came out in 14 in like 2016, 17. And then they promptly were like, all right, nobody played our game.
Sad.
It is what it is, man. It is what it is.
Its legacy will always live on as an engine mode, as a game engine, I guess.
I mean, again, the Unreal games.
I know, that's where the name comes from.
Truly what prompted that. Like it's very sad. Unreal games were very fun. They were super hard dungeon crawlers. And then they were like, what if Bazooka Jumpy Man? And they were like, yeah, we can do that. Let's see. So we covered Secret Level pretty well and good. Age of Mythology, I know you don't give a shit about, but
nope.
I'm pre-installed. I am waiting for day one. I am very excited. Probably don't need to talk about that. I will just briefly announce that they made another fucking Delta Force game for some reason.
Okay.
That's a series that I think has been dead since like 2004.
Yeah, I think I remember the mentions of this thing happening. And
ooh, that's not true because they made the Delta Force Black Hawk Down games. So that had to be like 05, 06. But still. Kingdom Come Deliverance sequel. Did you ever play the first one? Do you care?
I've seen people play it. I know people like it was like a little indie darling. It was just janky enough that I wasn't interested in it, but
it's not the jank for me. It's that it's a Chivalry clone and it's a first-person RPG.
It was very
Chivalry
tedious.
Jank.
Is what I saw.
Insta-death, like permadeath and insta-death.
Yep.
And it's not interesting. Like
what? Yeah. Welcome to
like they made a plot.
Yeah, it's literally like welcome to medieval peasant times. Everything sucks. You will probably die. Have fun. That was the game.
It was Mountain Blade, but less fun.
Yeah, it was like everything sucks. You're probably gonna die. Have fun.
Batman VR.
Woo. I guess. Attention? I saw a little bit of it, and I was like, all right, cool. I just don't care because I don't have a VR set. I'm not buying one. It's just
the voice acting was a little sketchy for me. But the fact that it appears to be a game, not a VR experience, like basically Arkham Origins, except it's set between Origins and Asylum.
From what I remember seeing, it just kind of reminded me of like Beat Saber, but I was Batman. Just waving in general direction, and I do combo thing and go yay, and then I hit it again. It's fine. I'm sure it's good.
The traversal and the stealth mode hijinks, like it genuinely just looks like Batman Arkham VR. Like I am surprised by it because the last Arkham VR was very much exactly what you're describing. Stand still and swing your fists, and they're disembodied. You can't even see your arm. It's just bat punch.
Yeah.
But again, it looks dated. I mean, it's probably like 2016.
I mean, that's kind of the problem of I think VR in general is it's gonna always kind of look a little dated for right now. Just to be able to even run the damn thing.
Unless it Valve.
Valve, yeah, I mean, yeah.
When Alex came out, Alex looked very good.
Oh, it looks good. Still looks good. The Valve Index is still probably like the best, like, quality VR headset. It's just not the most affordable.
It is not. The current Oculus rigs are the best both in value and performance. But it's because Valve gave up.
Are they still Oculus or is it MetaQuest? I thought MetaQuest was the new Oculuses.
It doesn't matter.
Okay, but yeah,
Those headsets are
it
the only
confused
people
me because
making
I was
headsets.
like, I didn't think Oculus was still around. I thought it was just MetaQuest. Yeah, the new MetaQuests look fun. I was interested in them, but again, it's like when they're $700-800, I kind of go, this is interesting, and I like the gimmick. However, no, you know, like you don't
Um,
have anything that's really selling me on it yet.
I mean,
We're getting there. Every year, we're inching more and more
again,
forward.
there's plenty of games you see. I don't think there are. I think it is enough of a gimmick, and it hasn't gained enough traction yet that by the time it's just going to be like the Wii, where it's like, hey, remember where we tried motion controls and then we immediately gave up on them and nobody cared anymore?
I think the only reason that we're going to keep seeing stuff from it is because Zuckerberg has more money than God and believes in this shit and is just pumping and
See,
setting fire to money on it.
you know what I think's going to happen?
What?
We're just going to get full porn rigs. Like that's just the future of the Oculus software.
Yeah.
It's just going to be
Yeah, the
pick your
fuck
flavor
machine.
of virtual reality. Well, or it'll be like CBT. No, not that CBT. Like actually doing immersive therapy
Yeah.
kind of
Yeah,
stuff.
yeah.
Like I don't think it's going to be practically applied to games. I just don't see that being the technology because gamers
The
don't
most
like doing shit.
I was going to say the most
Gamers like sitting
practical
still and doing nothing. If they wanted to play sports, they'd go fucking play sports.
honestly, the most the best version for it to me would be like I still have a controller in my hands, but it's just kind of more immersive having like the screens around my head in a way. Like it's just I still like the tactile controllers and stuff. They're still controllers.
Have multiple screens then. It's the same thing. Wearing it on your head is dumb.
I don't know. The best thing I've seen from it is like the people walking around where you can like it has the cameras so you can see the real world around you and like have like Windows tabs floating in like your peripheral like when you're walking around. You can walk around and watch YouTube videos and shit, but it's also just like I just have a TV on in my living room.
You have a phone. You have other like
Yeah, but my phone
understand.
doesn't magically fly in my peripheral vision while I'm using my hands.
Sure. But Google Glass did that in 2012 and nobody liked it then.
People got freaked out. They didn't like it. They didn't like the idea of being surveilled all the time, which is very funny to me that Meta has their Ray-Ban glasses that do the same shit now.
Well, it's just like we've gotten to the point where I don't want to be too old man here. It's such useless
Uncle Corner.
garbage. It's such useless garbage. Like I don't understand where the peak of technology for everyone evidently was 1980s pulp sci-fi that then turned into 1990s sci-fi films, and we're like, oh, nothing would be cooler than having a display that I can gesture and it will move. I'm like, oh, did you know that that's stupid?
Yeah, I don't like that. I don't like it in movies. I think it's more of just the idea of what it is to them is the peak of it is a Ready Player One style scenario where it is a fully, truly immersive video game.
But we already have the better version of that, right? The screens that are manipulative. And it's because we used it for accessibility settings, right? For people that can't functionally use hands or they have arthritis or whatever the case is. We made retina tracking. We made it so that you could control things with your eyes. It's so much more efficient, but instead, I want to expand the screen. Enhance.
Yeah, those are dumb. I don't like that part of it.
But that's all VR is. It's, hey man, you know how these games look really good and you can watch them and you can play them and you don't have motion sickness? What if you wore it and you did get motion sickness and the strap made it so that if you wore it properly, it also gave you a headache from squeezing you too hard?
I'm not
what if that was peak performance?
I'm not the biggest proponent of VR either. To me, it still feels very gimmicky and nowhere near ready. Like if someone gave me one, I would probably play with it for like a week or two, and then I'd be like, all right, cool.
Can you make it wireless? Well, no.
Kind of, but not really. Yeah.
Not if you want your neck to survive.
The thing. It's just not quite there yet. It's been like that for a long time. It's just not quite there yet. It has been for the last decade, and it's still going to continue for a while.
I still have like a page and a half, but I'll go through them very quickly. Hurdling. Totally up my fucking alley. I don't know if you saw this trailer. It's probably not up your alley, but it is a herding game. So think less arcadey Lemmings and in 3D. And I was like, I want this. This looks very fun. If it's like a $20 pickup, I will absolutely buy it. If it is on Game Pass, I will absolutely play it. It looks like a lot of fun to me. They did the big reveal of a remastered Goat Simulator. Couldn't give a shit less, but fun. Officially, another
I don't
Netflix
even.
game,
But
I
here's the
believe.
thing: I don't think it's actually a remastered Goat Simulator. From my understanding, it's just another. It's a new Goat Simulator game because they do dumb naming conventions for those games. Like Goat Simulator 2 is called Goat Simulator 3. It's just they do weird shit like that.
Yeah, it could be. I mean, it looked very much like it was the original, but prettier. But also, they didn't show much. Right? It's a trailer.
Yeah. They just did memes, and it was like Goat Simulator.
Another Netflix game, and it's We Made Squid Game, but fun.
Yeah.
Like, which is the natural progression of it, and I'm sure it will get a bunch of playtime.
I'm sorry, I'm watching Hurdling right now, and I'm looking at these fucking Satan goats, and I'm kind of on board. Just because the goat. They look
Just
cool.
like how, by the way, are you aware that they released DLC like 2 months ago for Cult of the Lamb that allows it to be multiplayer and you get to play as a goat?
Yep.
And it's not online?
It's local only. Yeah, you can do it online, but you gotta really monkey with it.
No. It's like how we'll never play Cuphead.
Yeah.
I want to play Cuphead. We'll never play Cuphead. How absurd. It's
very silly.
Game. Like, it was almost enough to get me to be like, hey, we should play this. And then I saw it was local only. I'm like, what the fuck?
That's the biggest, like, yeah, that was the biggest, like, you done fucked up to me thing.
Blizzard, right? Tons of anniversaries. Look, we're bringing Diablo DLC with the Barbarian, and we got 30-year anniversary of WoW. We got 50-year anniversary of... Wait, no, it was 20-year anniversary of WoW, 30-year anniversary of Blizzard.
I was gonna say, WoW is not as old as I am. WoW is not 30.
Yeah, 20.
Anyway. Yeah. I've been playing it for 20 years.
We got Overwatch skins out the wazoo to celebrate. We're gonna do some 3D shit. I mean, in all honesty, the one skin that they never did that they absolutely should have was for one of their BlizzCons. They absolutely should have done Lost Vikings. Don't care which three. At least one of them's Torb.
Yeah, they should
never
have.
Did it.
No,
don't understand.
Never did.
Shame. It's not like you have a character with a shield, a character with a bow, and a character that looks like a tiny red-bearded dwarf that you could have changed the hammer into a sword or an axe.
No, that makes sense.
Well, again, I don't think anybody likes those games except for a small handful of people with brain rot the same way I do, but I love the Lost Vikings.
I loved playing them in Heroes of the Storm. I thought they were great. I loved them.
Well, again, it was this weird rock, paper, scissors puzzle game that was a side-scrolling action platformer where a lot of the time you're a Viking guy fighting future robots and shit. It was good.
Yeah, it's cool.
I was specifically, it was on a PC gaming demo disc that I had that I could only play like 2 levels on, and I played it so much when I was like 5 or 6 years old. Anyway, it's a shame. Peter Molyneux, any thoughts?
Fuck Peter Molyneux.
How much money do you think he paid?
I don't know. I don't care.
To get a main stage day 1 release. I understand that you don't care. Did you at least watch?
I have a feeling
either his coverage or the trailer.
No, I'm so over fucking Fable at this point. Anything to do with it. That man is such a compulsive liar that I don't trust.
It's not Fable.
It's Albion or whatever the fuck. It's Fable.
It's not. Albion's the historic name for Britain.
Albion's also the name of the kingdom in Fable.
I am aware. He doesn't have the rights to that shit.
What the fuck?
He is
Peter Molyneux. What the fuck is this?
He's making another all game, and the ad is very specifically a fucking mobile game.
The only thing I saw was it looks like a fucking room, and it, like from the still screen I saw, it's like, what the fuck is this?
Well, so the gist of what they're selling is it is a country building 4X game. You will be able to zoom into the city and do the city building. You can zoom into the specific point of doing individual jobs and buildings within the game, and then you can also go out and do a third-person fucking survival crafting game to help garner resources for that individual town. You will be able to play all game inside of one game, and I'm telling you right now, it is absolutely like when you're watching the games and there's the really annoying TikTok voice that says, I can't believe this is the real game. This is a real game. Totally real gameplay. It's that. It's absolutely that. It is like 4 different art styles. Hey, can you now do this? Hey, can you now do this? It looks so bad.
I am watching right now.
And I guarantee you he paid something like $1.5 million for that spot of being able to stand on stage and embarrass himself.
For some reason, I feel like the French government paid for this for him because he's like one of the only like French game devs or some shit, and like got money from his government for this or something.
That's not true. Fucking David Cage.
Yeah, the two model
Remedy
citizens,
software, aren't they? No, hold on. Aren't Remedy Software's French? Isn't their whole studio? That's why Control's so fucking weird.
I thought they were from Quebec.
Ah, French Canadian. Aha. They are French. They will call themselves French. They're
French Canadian.
They speak like Muppets. Sir, really, when you play the Alan Wake, it is the best game because you get to play as the bitter writer and detective with the flashlight. And I will not spoil, but there is a musical sequence that you will enjoy. There you go.
Oh, I know very much about that.
English. Love you, French Canada. You're my boys. You bring like all of the big boys except for all the newfies that join the league.
Yeah. We got Indiana Jones game.
We're getting there. I still have to touch on Molyneux for one more thing because he in the later session where he was doing like a hands-on, he told reporters, you know, I really like living life. I drink a lot. I smoke a lot. This could be my last game. And it's just absolutely like abusive divorced dad energy of, I know I haven't been around, but I'd really appreciate if you spend some time with me.
I realized that everyone realized I was lying out my ass about my games all the time, but I'm totally not lying out my ass this time. I totally went to go get cigarettes last time, I swear.
Well, and that's the shame. It's like Black and White's actually really good. But all of his other games are garbage.
Oh, and he'll sell you the world, and then it's none of it.
Dungeon Keeper was his. Dungeon Keeper's also fun.
The original one?
It was just...
Yeah.
I think he's Dungeon Keeper and Black and White are his 2 games that are worth playing. He also had like a God game early on, but like, yeah, that was his thing. He always made God, quote unquote, God games, and then he decided not to.
All I've ever known from him is Fable.
Right. Well, so there's more interaction and everything, and you can do everything, but he's always relied on not ludonarrative. What's the other thing? The thing that you're much better at. Like I very rarely am going to sit in a video game
whatever, something dissonance, ludonarrative dissonance.
Well, no, ludonarrative dissonance is when the actions of the character don't reflect the story that's occurring around the character. Like Uncharted, where Nathan Drake murders 7 billion people, and then he sits there and he's like, I don't know how to shoot a gun. I'm barely scraping by. And then he's like,
fucking Jason
Bourne. As soon as the cutscene ends, you become Jason Bourne. Exactly, yeah. No, this is, but where you can create your own story
suspension
based on
of disbelief or whatever.
All Fable is. Fable has like 3 plot hooks in each game, and the rest of it is, what if you ran around in circles and flexed your muscles until people were your friend and farted until you offended people enough that they tried to murder you?
Yeah, that is one thing you could do in those
I very
games.
recently played through Fable 2, and that is supposed to be the best of them. Which, probably true. I played Anniversary when it got released on PC, and I had liked Fable on the Xbox when I was 10.
Fable 2 at the time was fine. Fable 3 was okay.
I didn't have the console to play 2 on, and then by the time 3 came out, I definitely didn't have the console and also didn't care.
Yeah.
And Fable 2 you still can't play on PC, so I never revisited it.
Yeah.
Interesting that. I don't know why. I guess maybe it's just hard to port. Like, it specifically was built to 360 architecture, where 3 was built in later 360 architecture that was more PC based. Couldn't tell you. That's enough about Peter Molyneux, other than I just think it's very funny that he's like,
I just
game, I'm sick.
Yeah, Peter,
remember all that good faith I had?
Yeah, Peter, do me a favor and jump in a canal, please. Like, I just don't care. I don't fucking care about anything that man has to say.
Hon Hon, the video game. Hon Hon.
So French.
Les baguettes. Wait, what's the name of this thing again? It also has a really dumb. Yep. Le Master Albion. Not even. We could not go to Master Go. No Master Paris. Master Albion. Oh. Oh. All right. Couldn't care about Mafia, but it is interesting that this is the first time that a sequel to Mafia is being handled by the same studio as the last Mafia game.
Yeah. Mafia.
Because
That's
original
Mafia game.
Mafia, I don't remember who made the first one. 2K made Mafia 2, and then Mafia 3 was Hangar 13? Yeah, it's 13 because they're Black Cat logo.
Yeah.
But yeah, I don't care, but I liked the remasters. They did well enough that it could be good. I think it's interesting that they're making Mafia the prequel.
The problem for me is that it has a 2K in the name of people involved in it, because everything 2K does is just like soulless cash grabs and microtransactions, like to the worst degree for the most part nowadays.
The Mafia games weren't bad. And also, when you're mentioning 2K, I would just like to point out that we started this by you saying, I'm absolutely going to try more Borderlands, which is the most 2K. Would you like to spend $4 extra to have a slightly different mask and color pattern?
I will not. I will keep playing this game.
But that was the definition of Borderlands 2, man.
Yep.
I think there's more DLC that is cosmetic than anything else.
Oh,
and they had a lot of DLC. Nintendo Direct, there were no Nintendo games announced, but the Nintendo Museum wasn't like functionally announced to be complete and when it's opening. I think it's neat. That's all I gotta say. Is
you can't do all of it in one day, is what they were saying, which is funny to me. So they're like, they want you to come back multiple times to this museum.
And okay, well, in the same way that you can't do an art museum in one day, like, yes, sure.
Yeah.
It's not like you're not going to see the building.
Yeah.
But interesting and fun fact is that it is on the site of the original playing card factory.
Yeah. It's cool.
Like, I functionally, it's anybody else does this, and I would think I would be very cynical. I mean, we just had a conversation offline about how Disney is the worst. But I've got enough goodwill toward Nintendo. I don't even like Nintendo games for the most part. But they're the one company that I'm like, yeah, no, you deserve that. Like, yeah, do that. You guys like your old shit. Make a thing about your old shit. That's fun.
Yeah.
I don't want a Sony museum. An Xbox museum, I would actively make fun of. There is nothing in that museum.
I could give Nintendo some credit as far as the games that I have played. Most of them have never been like bad. They've been ones that I've liked better than the others, but they're still like fun times.
Counterpoint, every Mario Party ever.
Mario Party can burn in hell. Mario Party's video games are fun. But I digress. Mario Party is like the one that I don't like. But like
there are several. I will argue that they put a lot of effort into their mainline titles, though.
Yes,
and we can
all of their first party games are pretty.
I've got no interest in playing most of them, but I'm like, yeah, they made a cozy life sim. They did good at it. People really like it. They make a bunch of side-scrolling games that aren't as good as other side-scrolling games, but they've got a lot of polish. And you pretty much know, oh yeah, I got an update on Metroid. I got an update on Kirby. I got an update on Mario. They all play basically the same. There's nothing really creative going on. But it is a game.
Pokemon's kind of gone by the wayside, but I don't even really consider those Nintendo properties anymore because it's all like the Game Freak studio. It is like kind of its own.
Always has been.
Yeah, I know, but I'm saying more than anything, like that one's kind of like, it is, but it isn't. And
yeah, I don't know. I mean, they have opened up significantly more in the Switch era. Well, that said, Wii was full of garbage abandonware, so maybe they shut down for just the Wii U and then opened it back up for the Switch era. There was a
lot of garbage third-party games to the Wii that were just trash.
But I mean, like, they do good enough, and that's probably the fairest thing I can say. Like, again, I would actively laugh at an Xbox museum. That is a barren hall of sadness.
Yeah,
you've got one Master Chief display when you walk in the front door. And then it's row upon row of Binks the Time Sweeper and the sequel to Conker's Bad Fur Day and Time Splitters and other garbage.
I think my thing
no first party games that are worth celebrating.
Yeah. I had a
Well,
thought
and
about
Forza, they'd have
Nintendo,
a
and that's kind
Forza
of.
wall.
I had a Nintendo thought that just kind of went off to the wayside. Couldn't remember what it is now. It escaped
Well, that's
me.
good because we don't need to talk about the Nintendo Museum anymore. The one hardware announced that was not the Switch 2,
Uh huh.
continues to not be the Switch 2, is that there's new Xbox consoles.
Yeah, we're probably not hearing about
And
Switch 2 until next year.
well, and this might turn into 5 or 10 minutes on the subject, but it's just hardware updates, but they're not generating a new generation. And I think it's worth saying my read on consoles, I think we probably get a PlayStation 6.
Mm-hmm.
And I think at that point, Sony will give up on making consoles. Like they'll probably do a 6 and 6 Plus. But either if we maintain a box, which we probably will, I don't think we're moving quite to streaming because why would you?
Mm-hmm.
Um, but I think it's going to become boutique gaming PCs, which is what they already were, right?
Yeah.
At this point,
Yeah.
it'll just be every couple of years when your processors and whatever can't handle the latest game, you'll have to upgrade.
Yep.
But it is different than before in that there does seem to be some consideration for maintaining a games library the same way that PC gamers have been able to and everything else. Like I'm very impressed with what Xbox has done. I think Sony will follow suit. They're just
Yeah.
lagging behind.
Yeah.
Which if it sounds like you're in agreement, which will transition into my next statement, which is the first big fucking takeaway for Indiana Jones is it's coming to PlayStation.
Oh yeah. So we already kind of knew that Xbox is kind of just moving away from being like they've talked about other games that were exclusive coming to Sony and stuff, and they're basically just deciding that they're just a developer at this point or publisher.
But they haven't done it for a launch title yet. It's been
Yeah.
after a game was a success, they would
We
bring
kind
it
of
to
knew
a
that
new
that was
market.
coming though from like
After
what
a
they've
game
been
was-
starting and talking about though. I mean,
But it's felt very much like only the games that they could bank on would they even bother putting to Sony. This is very much it's not at launch because this is like the 9th, I think, was when they said Great Circle is officially coming out. It launches in spring.
yep.
But like that is a very limited exclusivity window. And it is a surprise because it's not something they've done yet. This is the first one, and they're doing it on a big swing.
Yep.
Like it's
Yep.
not
It's one of their first party
a
exclusives.
Wolfenstein side story, or I could have seen Avowed, I could have seen Starfield, I could have seen Fallout. Like any of those made sense because they were already cross-platform to such an extent, and then it surprised me.
Yeah.
What also surprised me is that Troy Baker is Indiana Jones, and also Troy Baker did mocap for Indiana Jones.
Yeah, I kind of knew that one already.
I was news to me. Felt like most of the focus was on mocap, and doesn't this look like indie? Even though it doesn't quite look like indie, they didn't really show me much of anything.
It looks like a David Cage game to me. In all honesty, it just kind of looks like a first person David Cage game, and then you go to not first person David Cage game.
Yeah, it's the only non-Obsidian title that I am excited for from Xbox in any sort of near future. Like I couldn't give a shit less about anything Bethesda or id or what are their other studios. They keep shutting them down. I don't know who they own anymore, but
a lot. They own
like
a lot.
Call of Duty, right? Blizzard, like don't care. So it surprised me. I already have a bad feeling about it because they're doing something that I really have hated in the past. So what does it mean to you when there is a day one DLC exclusively on Game Pass or with pre-orders?
Like, what do you mean? Like, it's just them
Day
trying to
one,
like incentivize
there is a story DLC that is tied to pre-ordering the game.
Oh, usually, I mean, that's just they cut something out from the game and are selling it back to you as like a pre-order thing. That's what that's always meant to me.
And it's a timed release.
No, I know.
I know.
I've Mass Effect did it a long time ago, and I hated it then, and I don't love it now.
Right, but people haven't done that in a very long time. There have been a lot of you get exclusive access to this tier of a battle pass, or you
Yeah.
get 9 days of early play, right? Like that.
I
That's
think a lot
Warhammer.
of
By the way, Warhammer 2, you can play what 3 days early if you spend an extra $40. Come on,
I
man. Come on, you want to do it.
they've kind of like moved away from, I think, like all of the pre-order bonuses they used to kind of do. Maybe they haven't, and I just haven't cared because I don't pre-order jack shit. I don't
Well,
believe in
right,
pre-ordering
because
anything. Pre-order nothing.
okay, but to clarify, I'm not saying it's pre-ordering the game. It's exclusively if you pre-order like the platinum tier of the, like, you have to spend like $80 or $100 to play this portion of story at launch, and otherwise you have to wait until it, whenever it releases on the release schedule, which is sometime in the spring.
Yeah, premium edition, the digital premium edition is the Order of Giants story DLC, quote unquote. Okay.
Is
Yeah, I
that
don't know.
not gross?
Yeah, I
It's
don't like it.
gross.
I don't like it.
But I do think it's a portent of the future, so to speak, because if everybody's on Game Pass and everybody gets to play the game for free when it comes out,
Oh
what
yeah.
incentive do they have to buy the game?
Yep. I know. I've seen that, but also
Spend
kind of
$90.
like Microsoft has kind of said, like, I can't remember what his name is, like the head of like Xbox and stuff has kind of come around and said like they're not trying to be a game, they're not trying to be a hardware company anymore. They're just trying, they've lost the hardware game. They've admitted that. They're saying we just want to own video game subscriptions. Like that is what we want to do, is we want to own digital subscription for video games the same way that Steam kind of owns people's library on PC. They just kind of want to be that, but for like everybody else. And like, I'm not
Phil Spencer
surprised. Yeah, Phil Spencer. There you go.
is
I
the
just
name
couldn't
you were
remember.
looking for.
I just couldn't remember his name.
Yeah, I know. I'm just helping.
Yeah, yeah,
But I don't mind that direction. Like, I really do think that should be the future.
yeah. That's
Is
fine. I don't have a problem with
build
it
a
personally.
quality library if
Eh,
that's what you want to do and sell it, or just sell me the games at a reasonable rate. Don't sell them to me for $80 and $90 a piece, and maybe stop making them 90 billion hours long.
yeah,
Right? Like, that's the other thing is I'm very willing to pay for the gameplay experience that I enjoy. I don't at all think that every game is a fixed price, but we've moved away from that to where every AAA title is probably losing money by selling you their game or close
yeah,
to it.
yeah,
And so they feel the need to either be iterative or charge you way too much for the games that shouldn't be that expensive. Because, like, yeah, I would probably spend $70 or $80 on a very story heavy, very intensive, interesting RPG.
mm-hmm.
But why am I spending $70 on a reskinned Call of Duty or NHL game
Yeah,
or whatever?
yep.
Like, there's no reason.
Yeah,
Anyway,
when they're iterative and they come out once a year like that. Yeah.
but I am absolutely going to be playing that game on day one. I am absolutely going to love every minute of it, or I'll be very disappointed.
Yeah.
But there haven't really been bad. Well, that's not true. There is one bad Indiana Jones game, and it's the one that was on like the DS and the Wii.
Yeah.
But generally, they've been very good. Like all the way back to when Lucasfilms was making games, not LucasArts yet. Like when they were side-scrolling RPGs with very minimal interaction, were great. I loved
point
the
and click
Infernal
game.
Machine. Well, there were also point and click games, right? The Treasure of Atlantis. But no,
Yeah,
I'm
yeah.
specifically meaning there was like a top-down 2D, like a
Yeah, yeah, I know what you're talking about.
what would have been an ARPG at the time, but a Zelda-like, right?
Yeah,
Like
yeah.
a Link to the Past clone. There was Yoda stories, and then there was the Indiana Jones game, and I don't remember what the Indiana Jones game was titled, but it might have been just like The Last Crusade or whatever. But yeah, I mean, they've been fun. It's a fun world to live in. There's a reason that we ended up with Tomb Raider and Uncharted games.
Oh, yeah.
It's because
It's because
Indiana Jones is a lot
existed.
of fun.
Yeah.
It's the same reason that we've ended up with, well, less
All of
lately.
the Uncharted games.
I was going to say very good spy games. Like, it's because James Bond and Mission Impossible were fun. And then, like, now you think about it, and we haven't had a lot of good stealth games in a while, but Splinter Cell exists because James Bond exists, and Metal Gear Solid exists because 90s stealth action films and heist films exist. Like, there's a lot of room in my heart for a good Indiana Jones game, and it's one of the few titles that I don't feel weird about there being a tie-in. But I'm not confident. Like, it's the first non-LucasArts indie game it's in the hands of a game company that I don't really think can do any wrong, but they could.
Yeah, we'll see. We'll see what
Like,
happens.
Machine Games, like, they haven't really done anything lately. They made the new Wolfenstein
Yeah, I
games,
mean, the
and
Wolfenstein
they're
games are
good.
good. Outside of, like, that weird one where it was
Um,
like the twins or something was kind of me. But
well, it's Youngblood. I don't know that that was even a full game, but
yeah,
I
it was
don't
like a
know that
little
it was.
side thing.
I don't know that it was good or bad. I didn't play it. It was multiplayer, which
Yeah,
sounded fun,
yeah,
but I didn't buy it because
I didn't either.
I didn't.
All I heard
I
was
probably wasn't playing games very
it
much at the
wasn't
time.
it wasn't great. That's what I remember.
But
That's all I heard.
Cyberpilot was well reviewed, which was the um, I think it's a VR title. I don't know, but it was Wolfenstein, but different in vehicles, or maybe mechs. I don't really know. Um, but would you believe that they've released a title this year that you probably don't know of?
Hmm.
Because they released original levels and a campaign for Doom 2.
Huh.
It's the first new addition to Doom 2 since like the early 2000s or late 90s.
Hmm.
I don't know why they did it, but that's what they released this year. And here's the real kicker. So a good amount of the team that's working on this is the same team that was on Wolfenstein, New Order, Old Blood, New
Yeah,
Colossus, and it's
yeah.
also a lot of the guys that I don't know if you think about this being their pedigree, but it's the same guys that worked on Chronicles of Riddick, Escape from Butcher Bay. I I hope you just got the same pop that I did, which made me giggle.
No.
Oh, Doug is playing Black Myth Wukong.
Oh yeah, I know. Yes, we talked about it yesterday.
And then they also were the company that made The Darkness in the Darkness 2,
See that?
which
I
were
liked those
very fun
games. I
games.
liked them. But
And
all of
they
those
didn't really
games,
translate to Wolfenstein, but they would to a first person RPG game. So
all of
if they
those
do the
games
right
look
thing,
like they have a lot more combat than what I've seen from this one so far. And this one seems to be like a walking puzzle simulator with like a couple of fights, is what I've seen.
have you played those games?
Yes, absolutely. I played both Darkness 1 and 2. I mean, I
Because
played
there
both the
was
Wolfenstein
a
ones.
lot of focus on objective based gameplay, and combat was a fallback recourse. It was not go in guns blazing and beat everything up. And Wolfenstein's the same way, where you can absolutely beat entire missions and avoid boss
I mean,
battles
yeah.
by playing smart.
I mean, there was stealth was an option, but I'm just like I've seen maybe like one enemy maximum on a screen at a time. It makes me a little bit like concerned. Just like, all right, let's see what happens.
I mean,
I
I don't think it's going to be over the top goofy
no,
violence,
I'm just
if that's what you're expecting.
I, all of the
But
gameplay I have seen has very much felt like a walking simulator to me, with like one or two bits of combat in between, and it just seems like it could be lacking in things to do
I don't
for
know.
me.
If I've
We'll
got
see.
if I've got a good amount of puzzles, a little bit of platforming, and at least one goofy bare knuckle brawl, which the trailer has already promised me, I'm
Uh,
pretty sold. And like Escape from Butcher Bay, if you haven't played it, is worth going back and playing,
no,
because
never played any of the
that's what's
Chronicles of
like.
Riddick games.
I don't know that there are multiple, but
I think
I'll
there's
believe that
one
there
or
are
two.
multiple. It's the only one I played, and it's because it has nothing to do with the movies.
Heh,
It is very much just a lore dump, but it is set in a prison and a very, very interesting game for the time. Like,
yeah,
it was doing things in, God, what was that, like 2006?
like 2006, 2008.
That I think we still haven't seen the like of in modern gaming. So, worth a play. Like, if you ever wanted to just have the retro library of the let's play this vintage title,
Yeah.
Chronicles of Riddick. But yeah, I am curious. They confirmed all three of the World War II baddies are going to be your bad guys in it. It's also canonically set between Temple of Doom and the Last Crusade, which I guess matters. I don't understand. Like, technically, I guess the years would matter because of whatever's happening in game. But like, I just look at it, I'm like, I mean, that's a choice.
Yeah.
Like, I mean, I didn't want it to be like. Actually, it might be the funniest thing in the world if they made it a mainline sequel, and it was the sequel to the movie that came out last year. And so you've got Troy
Just
Baker walking
fucking
around,
Harrison
with a cane
Ford in a
wobbling.
retirement home or some shit. Is fucking
No, it's still Troy Baker. He's doing old Harrison Ford.
be wild.
I'm getting too old for this, Chewie. I mean, short
Fuck,
round.
what movie am I
mean,
in? God damn it.
Marion. I got rid of Mutt. We brought him to the pound. We had to put him down. Because Shia LaBeouf isn't Disney friendly. Not anymore. He started there. He sure didn't end there.
Oh, he's been blacklisted.
I mean, probably not, knowing Disney. Like, if they found the right cynical cash grab, they would immediately bring him back. But
Even
he
or
seems like a little bit of
Stevens.
a crazy man. Yeah, I think they have a better chance of getting the sister, and then he would be a guest star, like the weird uncle.
Even or Stevens.
Even Stevens here.
Evans Stevensia.
I was about to ask, and then I remembered, and then I can't think of a sequel that doesn't immediately draw scorn. But you know the other Disney thing he did, right?
Holes.
The Disney Channel original Louis C.K. adaptation. Yes.
Yeah.
Boy, oh boy. And he did the golf movie.
Yeah, Caddy or whatever the fuck he was in.
No, the greatest game ever played. Isn't it? It's where he's the caddy that becomes the golfer and he plays the best game of golf ever.
Yeah, whatever. Who the fuck cares?
Stevens heads, not Stevens, what's his name? LaBoufkins. The French government. Can you hear the Stevens sing? They are on screen in Disney films.
No. Let me out.
So two things need to happen. One, we need to make a sequel to Holes. And you have to come up with a way of making a sequel to Holes that doesn't have a terrible name. But all of them are terrible names.
What if you just put a second O in it? So
holes,
it's just Holes.
2 holes.
It's
well,
just
you know, the
Holes
sequel
with
is
2
like
O's.
Walking Soft or something, and it focuses on a totally different character after they get off the farm and they're trying to like integrate into regular life.
I did not know there was actually a sequel.
He's Caveman. Is Garbage Man one of the guys'
names? Yeah,
Garbage
Garbage Man's Stanley's character's name is Garbage Man.
And he's Caveman.
Caveman
you
and
Zero. Check out
Zero.
tags. His name is Caveman. No, Zero, because he don't talk.
Yeah.
Anyway, it doesn't matter. It really doesn't matter. It's not that great. It is something that is well loved of people from a certain age. I guarantee you there aren't kids reading Holes these days. Because boy, oh boy, does it have some things to say about how race relations are problematic, but not really.
Yep.
But all that to say, we also have to get them to bring the entire original cast back to make another Holes rap.
You gotta go dig them holes.
Holes.
You gotta go dig them holes.
I should be an adult film producer, or like just become a content producer for these people and then license the Disney original song Holes. Digging out them holes, digging.
I don't like this anymore.
you like that it lives rent free in my head, and I can probably sing that whole song for you right now without looking up the lyrics? Pick a bad boy, make him dig 5 feet. X is 6 feet, 5 feet, 4 feet. How deep is the chest supposed to be? You might know.
6 foot. It's because the shovel's 6 foot. It's however deep the fucking shovel is.
Well, Edwin,
that's how they measure it.
Find something they never found before. If not, they just have to dig some more. It's so bad. It's so bad. But here's the thing. I can hear a song twice, and it lives in my brain. I was this afternoon humming the tune of a song that was my little sister's like first grade musical.
Truly cursed. Truly cursed
It is
existence.
truly cursed, but also blessed because music's great. And we can put a bow on things with two great things. One is Amyl and the Sniffers released a new single to wrap up their US tour, and it coincided with the announce of a brand new album, which is awesome. And lame news, or maybe great news, I don't know which. Original members of Amon Amarth, mostly the drummer that got kicked out like 5 years ago, today announced that they are making new melodic hardcore death metal type band.
I was gonna say, have
And
they
it
finally
isn't.
run out of things to sing about with Vikings?
Oh no. The name of the band is Fimbulwinter, named after their song. Fimbulwinter. Not
Damn
to
it.
be confused. Not to be confused with 1992's Fimbulwinter, which is also black metal band.
Uh-huh.
But nothing's
No.
announced. Like there are no songs yet, but I am absolutely on board because it happens to be the guy that was the drummer for all their good albums, and then he left, and they've all been bad albums. So interesting
It's,
that the one bereaved member might be the glue that made things interesting for the band. I swear I had another thought, but that's all good. That was all. I feel like it'll be up your alley. I do think it's very interesting that they named it after like the initial demo for the band. But yeah, it's like the original drummer followed by the second or third drummer, and then their guitarist for their good albums are all making an album together.
yeah. The Great Heathen Army kind of sucked. What other albums did they have
I
recently?
like literally anything since like 2010, 2011, 2012, whatever that last album was. But like, I know you like Soda Rising, but I did not.
Their last
I
like good
can't think of a
album to
track
me
off
was
of it.
Yom's Viking. Yom's Viking had like 5 or 6 songs in a row that I really liked. After that, that was their 2016 album. After that, it was just kind of
Yeah, Twilight of the Thunder God gets regular play. With Odin on our side, gets regular play. Crusher gets regular play.
Berserker had a couple good songs. The Great Heathen Army, I don't
Fate
think
of
I
the
know a
Norns is
single song off of this one.
Fate of the Norns is great. Well, The Great Heathen Army is the album where they made a tie-in graphic novel and board game. Sorry,
Yeah,
role playing game.
I like this band a lot. I don't know a single one of these songs off the Great Heathen Army, so that tells you how much I've listened to it.
Well, or you just don't know the titles.
No,
You
I have
never
not
know.
listened to any of them. I've listened to Berserker a good amount of time. I like a few songs on it. I like Shield Wall, Crack the Sky, Ironside. Yeah, there's like 5 or 6, at least like a solid 50% of the songs on this album are okay. That was like in 2019. That's fine. Just kind of like running out of ideas. I think.
Again, I through like '08, solid band. After that, maybe 2-3 tracks. But the guys that I'm referring to, so Frederick Anderson left right after Deceiver of the Gods before Berserker.
Mm,
And the drummer that we're referring to was, sorry, other drummer that's in the band was the drummer for their first 4 albums,
mm.
3 albums. And then the guitarist does not appear to be listed here. What the hell?
Hmm.
Oh, there he is. It was the guy for first 3 albums again.
Yeah.
So it'll be interesting. I mean, it might be a throwback to more death metal instead of melodic, whatever these guys call themselves. Um, I don't know. Like, I'm not super anti the band. I figure if I go to see them, they will play the good songs because why would they not?
That's all they do. Yeah.
But I am definitely not buying their new albums. Which is saying something because I buy a lot of albums. But I also don't buy a lot of metal. Like outside of like small local metal bands, I don't have a lot of artists that I support that way. Mastodon and Lamb of God. That might be it. Oh. You gonna hang up and go pee?
Yeah, kind of. I don't
I feel
know.
like
That's
you've been twitching in your seat.
I'm like dying. We've been doing this for like
Yeah.
2.5 hours.
Yeah. It's a lot of stuff.
Yeah.
Oh.
I was gonna talk about World
You
of
almost got
Warcraft, but I
away.
don't care. What?
Oh, I mean, you still can, but I have something even more impressive that I feel like, correct me if I'm wrong, and there were, in fact, coverage. But you know what game launches in like 2 months? That's a huge fucking release that I haven't seen any media for.
What?
Stalker 2.
Oh, that was in my Gamescom stuff. It's coming. It's been kind of quiet. I don't know. I haven't seen a
I
lot. I
just
follow
wouldn't
it.
you
I
think
see
the
updates.
last wouldn't you think like probably the last major games show prior to the winter holiday and the game's release? They'd be
I
like, hey,
yeah.
we have stuff to talk about. We have some hands-on for you. We have a gameplay of any
Yeah.
sort.
I think it's kind of being pushed out to pasture. It's just gonna like shadow drop on Game Pass, and then people are gonna be like, "Hey, have you heard about this game? It's actually pretty good." And that's kind of what happens mostly.
I don't know. Did you play Stalker?
Yeah, I played Shadow of Chernobyl.
Okay. Because I mean, it also like there were like what, 5 different DLCs for that game
Yeah, yeah,
that were pretty extensive.
a lot of
I
mods.
thought it was pretty good. It
Yeah,
wasn't nearly as good as New Vegas, but it was the second best post-apocalypse game that
yeah,
I've played.
it was
I
fine.
like it better than that stuff.
It was very much trying to be very like hardcore from my memory. Like it was Euro jank. It was kind of janky, but it still worked. It was fine. I remember it positively enough that I've been looking forward to a more updated version of it that's maybe a little bit more modern in control scheme. But Stalker 2 seems fine. I'm excited. It's just been delayed forever because of the war in Ukraine.
Did you did did you know that in March of this year they changed the subtitle of the first game?
Yeah. What's the subtitle? It was Shadow of Chernobyl.
Yes, now it's Shadow of Chernobyl. This matter because Chernobyl is maybe Americanization. This is
Uh-huh.
Chernobyl. It's literally they just changed a letter. Instead of CHE, it's CHO. It's the proper spelling of it. But
Chernobyl.
because the sequel is being released with the right name, they have retroactively made the first game the right name. It's very funny to me. But yeah, I mean, like there were gameplay trailers 2 years ago. Like the fact that I understand that like a major humanitarian crisis has happened in the meantime. I am
Yeah.
just surprised specifically that they're like, oh yeah, we have a guaranteed launch date. You can pre-install this shit to your PC right now.
I'm amazed that the game's coming out. So honestly, like in general, I'm just amazed that it's happening at this point.
I mean, it had a little bit of a plague development problem, but like realistically, they kept making revival time because they made the they made the Cossack series as well, which was like an RTS um
Yeah.
uh European warfare game. Like they didn't quite go away. I just
I
I want it to be
think
good.
part of
I
a
want in my heart of hearts for
problem
it to be good. It
I
is
feel
incredible.
I think some of the people on the development team were Russian as well as part of the problem, and they like couldn't pay them or some shit, and they were like part of like the integral force driving the game or something. I feel like that's something that happened and might have been why I got delayed a lot because they couldn't give them any money to work on it. I don't know. I don't remember. I don't know if that's true or not. I just feel like I remember a story about that when it like first started happening. Like they talked about why it was getting delayed a lot.
Yeah. I mean, again, technically it was releasing in Q1 and then again they had it for
Yep.
September and
Yep.
then
Yeah.
like this time again, you can actually install the game. Like
Yeah.
that's the crazy thing to me is that they're like, yeah, this game is live in 2 months and we're not going to show you shit.
Maybe they're gonna do like a big. They might do a big advertising plug here in the next month or so. Who knows?
Or because I think this is another one that is an Xbox title. Xbox is just like, we're not banking on shit ever again.
Yeah,
Until we have a hit, we
yeah,
aren't putting any money
they're
behind it. And
just
even
kind of
if we
putting
do,
it
we're
out to
going to shutter.
pasture. Yeah,
Even if we do, we're going to shutter the studio and let somebody else buy it.
yeah, it's kind of what it seems like it's
Which is
happening.
good news. You've heard that, right? That Hi-Fi Rush has a new owner and they're making
Yeah,
a
yeah, yeah,
sequel.
yeah. Good. Yeah, that's what should happen.
It's the funniest thing in the world to me that they're like, okay, we've had all these shit games lately. We better shutter a studio. All right, the one that made us any money.
The one that made the good one. That one. I just. Ugh.
I love the industry.
Yeah, it very much feels like they didn't care about at all what the studios made. They just looked at the number and went, how much money is it going to add to the bottom line if we get rid of this studio? Great, get rid of them.
Yeah, I mean, we had Call of Pripyat and then the 2 sequels attached to it, one of which was The Shadow of Chernobyl.
Yeah, I played both of them. I've been waiting for it
to be good.
I know, I do.
I want
Trust
Stalker
me,
2
I
to
do
be
too.
good, and people keep saying Stalker 2 be good. And like Fallout not been good for a long time, so maybe Stalker 2 the good Fallout.
Yeah, I didn't care for like the third Metro game. Metro the sequel was fine. I just want more. I want more Stalker. I want Stalker to be good.
You played Exodus?
Play a little
And
bit of
didn't
it.
like it, or just didn't like the concept? Because it didn't really feel that different from.
I liked all of the
Last Light.
underground stuff was the thing. I didn't like that it was not as much underground focused or whatever. It was okay.
Okay.
I liked
Metro
it. Felt
game got away from that.
Yeah, well, it did a little bit, but you still went back. It was mix and match. I don't know. Anyway, I liked
it. Was it's the hazard of something being based on books is oftentimes they follow the books, which is like, again, if they make a fucking Witcher sequel and it is lore accurate, boy oh boy are the fans in for a rude awakening.
Lore accurate Witcher drops fans.
I mean, again, like when you're sitting there at the end of the game and out of nowhere through one of Ciri's time portals, Galahad from King Arthur shows up, you're gonna go, huh? And then he goes, I am going to live in happiness with her forevermore. Farewell, off to the realm. And then Geralt gets to sit there and be like, I was a side character the whole time, which is kind of the point of the Witcher books that is missed in the Witcher games, where he is the sole focus and the hero of time. It's the child. The child is the hero.
My least favorite part of the Witcher game was the main storyline. All of the side missions were great. The main story, I was like, I don't give a fuck about Ciri. I fucking hate this story. The story's fucking dumb.
See, my biggest complaint with The Witcher is that a solid half of the side stories also sucked. And there was no telegraphing of which ones were going to be terrible.
They were fun little adventures. I liked them.
The number of times that it would be like 5 or 6 minutes of build up to spooky monster quest, and then you get there and it's just some lady standing in a cabin that you turn the quest into was awful.
I love that shit. That was hilarious.
No, but like have gameplay. Don't have turn in fetch quest. Commit to the bit. If you're gonna do the bit, commit to the bit. Like that's funny like once. The rest of the time it's like, oh yeah, we gotta go kill the witch, and then you get to the witch, there should be a witch. It shouldn't just be you standing there and having 2 dialogue options and the crowd disperses. Or it's not a witch and you have to protect this old woman against people that think she's a villain or whatever. Like they just don't do any of that. It's fine. I have played some of that game, and it should be a game that I would fully plug into and absolutely 100% all that shit. But
I have so much time in that game. How much time do I have in that fucking game?
The hazard is the gameplay, not super great. And the story is what you're there for. And for me, most of the interesting story that you probably engaged with, I'm like, oh yeah, I read this like 5 years ago. So I know where this is going.
I mean, yeah, you could kind of tell where most of it was going. It wasn't like that narratively complex, but fine.
No, I just mean it wasn't even like there's not plot hooks or plot twists or a rising or falling action that is going to take and engage you, because you're sitting there like, yeah, that's the thing that I'm familiar with. It's it's the same thing where if I had, like, if they suddenly decided to adapt very specifically a series of Star Wars books that I liked,
Hmm.
or your Halo books, they're like, we're gonna make a movie based on this squad of soldiers. You might like it conceptually because you're like, they brought this thing to life that I've never seen, because they didn't put it in a game and they haven't put it in a movie. But you're not going to be sitting there going like, I wonder what's going to happen to the characters. I wonder what's going to happen in the story of this, if it's a point to point retelling.
Hmm. Yeah.
Same reason that I didn't really engage with the Witcher show.
Yeah.
And now I have even less reason.
Yeah, I didn't really care. I liked being Geralt and doing the stuff, and I didn't read the books. So there's the benefit of that.
No, again, like, I understand why people like the game, but it's definitely not the gameplay elements. Like, if 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 people liked The Witcher as a game mechanically, they would have loved Dragon Age Inquisition.
I mean, the gameplay
And
was fine.
it-
And Dragon Age Inquisition had a bunch of other problems. That wasn't so much the mechanics
no,
of it being the
I'm
problem.
not saying that. I'm just saying, if it were true that people were drawn to The Witcher for strictly the mechanical value, or even an even spread, there would have been more people that would have engaged with this other medium that was functionally the same. It's because of the story that people are drawn to it. I don't know
Mhm.
that, like, I know that you're saying that you like being Geralt, but like, it's very player insert here. Like,
Yeah,
it's not like
I
that
don't
you
know.
like Geralt. You don't like Geralt. You like experiencing the world that Geralt lives in, because most of Geralt is
He's just he's just Wolverine with white hair. That's all he is. He's Wolverine with white hair that fucks.
the last part is key, because he is not Wolverine. Wolverine is slightly more bitch boy. Geralt pretty bitch boy though.
Indeed.
Not game accurate. Book accurate though. Book, he like, I could have sex with all of the women in all of the name of the world that I forget momentarily. We're gonna say Palabradriel. Um, and then he's like, but I only have eyes for the one woman who won't live with me,
Uh-huh.
the raven-haired witch.
Yeah. I feel him.
But we're both barren. We're both barren, so we must adopt this child. We will have a child together that is not our child, and she will be the hero of time and space. And then they meet King Arthur's court and shit.
Yeah. Yeah. I could do without that part.
Yeah. I like, a solid 2 books into the actual books, you realize you don't need to read any of the books. The collected short stories are great. The novels are awful. And interestingly enough, the collected short stories of the game are great. And the overarching story is
Are awful. Yep. Love the entire
But hey,
Blood and Wine expansion. That story was great.
screw your toe. Screw your toe. Squirrely elves. Squirrely elves. Squirrely elves.
The squirrely elf boys in their trees with their nuts.
You gotta figure out how to end your show, man.
I've been trying to escape for like the last like 30 minutes.
No, I mean, like, you need like a bit, you need a statement, you need to like close it out and then turn off the webcam. Because otherwise,
Well,
I'm just gonna sit here with this awkward silence and I'm gonna go, you know what?
mostly because I'm
Sit in
dying.
your own piss.
So that's our coverage of what we saw at Gamescom, I guess, and the things we're looking forward to, and our thoughts on them, as well as all that other random bullshit. I'm Edwin at Source 4 Gaming here on Twitch, and Source 4 Media on like Instagram and Twitter and YouTube. Where can everyone find you? What do you do? You working on anything this week?
You could have said Source 4 on all the things.
See, but it's different.
I've been playing Yakuza.
I'm about
like
to just
a
hit eject
dragon.
on this fucking thing and just leave.
if that wasn't apparent. But yeah, no, I mean, like at some point, still somewhat counting on you. We gotta help me nail down the radio half of this, and maybe
Yeah.
even the regular gaming half of this. But
Yeah.
plan on getting some stuff together. We've got some interesting radio show and gaming in the future potentially, but nothing active. Nothing
Yeah.
fun.
We'll get there.
Good night, folks.
Yeah. See y'all next week. Bye.